How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to episode 17 of the ControllerCast, where we bring you all of our interests in daily pop culture, previous pop culture, whatever suits our fancy. Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate everyone coming back with a passion on the last episode. And I never got to, give a thanks, but thanks for the support on the Last of Us 2 episodes. They're some of our most popular. Actually, the first part was our most popular since the first episode. So it's really awesome seeing the support come out for something that we all really really loved, and we put a lot of time into that episode because it's 4.5 hours. But yeah, so things are a little bit different this week. It's just going to be me and John. It's the summer, so Andrew is on vacation. He's over in good old Colorado, which is John was there just recently.
Yeah.
And Parker is in the unholiest of places, Dubuque, Iowa. So they're not here this week. It's a two-man show, just me and John. Usually in the past when we only got if we could only do like two of us, we usually skip a week. I'm thinking maybe from here on out, if one of us can't, if maybe it is just two of us, like we could probably still keep it going because, I think we could still do these weekly shows with just two of us, and it'll still turn out good. And it creates a good dynamic. And I guess we'll kind of go into, my schedule too, a little bit moving forward, just because of some big developments. Not just
very big developments for you recently.
It's been big. Just a big week for ControllerCast in general, specifically for me and John. So I'm glad that this episode was able to be, me and John. But yeah, let's get into it. It'll be a little bit of a lengthier how's it going section, but yeah, let's get into it. So behind the scenes, I haven't really talked about this much on the podcast, as a lot of you guys know, as I've mentioned. I moved to Arizona in November of last year. I lived in Nebraska for, what was it, John? It was 11 years, right? 10 or 11 years.
At least, yeah.
Yeah, because I moved there in 2010 when we're all starting 7th grade, which is insane to just reminisce about. But in November last year, I went ahead and moved to Arizona, mainly because of it. At the time, I thought, a really good job opportunity. And lo and behold, I'm not going to mince words. I essentially got catfished with the position, just completely different set of work essentially that was involved with the position. I'm not going to mention the company. I'm not going to mention the position. Just keeping it super anonymous. If you know me personally, but if you're just a regular listener, it's just X job and X company.
Yeah.
But yeah, and just from a behind the scenes standpoint, trying to kind of just give you a better insight into me as a person, moving to a new state, starting clean, with, having to start fresh, not having my boys with me, my family with me, and just being in this job where I was just I was just so caught off guard because I'd never been in a situation like this where I kind of got so thrown for a loop in a position like this. And I just moved to a new state, and
exactly, you're relying on this position heavily.
Yeah, exactly. And if with this position, it was for the first month or so, I didn't even I was just in denial. I was just there's no way.
There's no way that it's like this all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And it took a really big hit on my mental health. I was just day in, day out, I feel I've been telling people, I feel like I'm actually I actually feel alive now because, well, we're getting to it, but it took a really big hit on my mental health, and I just felt like I was just in this really bad negative headspace every single day, just kind of being a drone, coming
just
back
through the motions.
Yeah, going through the motions. And I just entered the job hunt. I went on, we had that vacation where I went to Omaha for a few weeks, obviously for John's wedding. And I decided like, look, after that, I'm going to come back, I'm going to set a hard regimen, just sharing it with you guys, go to work. It was, wake up at 7, get ready, get to work at 8, work from 8 to 4:30, get back home at 5, go to the gym for an hour or so, come back, eat dinner, which we're also like, I'm doing freshly just to make it more convenient for me. Because I'm trying to get back in shape.
Yes.
Just been eating like shit since I moved here. And then spend an hour or two just, rewriting my cover letter, rewriting my resume, really getting it up to snuff and applying to jobs. And I started doing that last Wednesday. Thursday, I applied to a company, and Friday, that company reached out to me and for an interview. Monday, I did my first interview. Tuesday, I got my second interview, and then Wednesday
at 5:30 a.m. You did your first interview at 5:30 a.m.
Yeah. Just because the nature of the company. So I'll get into it. And then Wednesday I got the offer, and on Wednesday I quit the job that I've been working here for, the job I moved here for. Which it was such a liberating feeling, and now I have a few weeks off before my job starts, and I'm really excited. So it's a remote position, so I'm not going to be moving out of. Plan is to stay in Arizona for the foreseeable future, but I can now travel at ease. I can, kind of what I wanted to do was, so many people have to build their work or build their life around their work. And I feel like now I'm entering a situation where I can really build my work around my life, just because it is a remote position. It seems like there's a lot of flexibility in a lot of things regarding the position. And like in terms of, my interviews, they're at 5:30 in the morning because, it's a remote, like pretty much the entire company is remote. And in terms of like time zones and things like that, the people I was interviewing, they were a few hours ahead of me. And so that's why I was waking up at, first interview was at 5:30, second interview was at 6:30. So I was like, I had to slap myself up. Man. Yeah, I drank for that second interview, I drank like a pre-work, I drank a Bang energy drink. I was like,
splash yourself with some cold water.
Yeah. So to just wake me up, and I was just shaking my feet the whole time at work that day. But it's just so I have a new job, and like I said, I'm entering a new phase, and I'm really excited for this position. And I just feel like I just feel more like I feel like a burden has been really lifted off my shoulders. It's crazy how one thing in your life can just have this domino effect in terms of just creating these negative repercussions for your mood and how you act and just how you behave throughout every day, every single day, your feelings every single day. And it's in such a short amount of time, how something like that can have such a negative effect on you. I was telling John, after, I've been unemployed, I guess, technically for like 2-3 days now, 4 days, I guess, in transition point. And I still have this like, this feeling of anxiety, like this just from that's been retained from my job. Cause I just always felt anxious. I always just felt like, like I'm stuck in this situation. Like, help me get out of it. Like something I gotta get
you're
out.
Always desperately trying to get out of it.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because you and I were in the exact same, like, the parallels between Ursula and I are crazy. Like, I was in the exact same position last year. And then in April, I secured my new job. And that was during the Arizona trip.
Yeah, I know. That was legendary.
Yeah. It's just insane, those parallels.
And it's crazy to me. I mean, like, not going into specifics, but like just the amount of parallels that you and me have had, John, in the past year. And so, besides like I'm not getting married, but like in terms of that, like our work situation, I got to give a props to you at that job that you're at, like before your current one, like mad respect, because you were there for a little over a year, right?
Yeah.
Like, and
a little over a year.
like I was yeah, like man, if I was I hate I just hate thinking like, oh man, like if I was still at that job like till November, like God, that would that would
It
be
was it was a disgusting time. And just like you, it took a mad hit on my mental health. And I'm glad that like in general in the entertainment industry and like especially sports now, like mental health is a big topic of discussion. And it should be.
yeah. And
But
like I just want to give a shout out to my friends, specifically you three. But like Andrew Parker, of course, but John, especially you, because I know like you went through what I was going through, so you knew how I felt, and you were always reaching out, always making sure I was okay. And you know, you need that, like when you're going through like these, you know, like it's not, you know, I'm not trying to sound like a little bitch, but like, you know, the reality is like, because I mean, you know, there's so many people are going through a lot worse, you know, so I am in a privileged state to say, oh, the job I do have sucks, you know, or the
right,
job I did have sucked. But you know, when you are going through that, it does take an impact on you. And you know, also shout out to my family. My family heard so much about this. I was constantly talking to them about this while it was going on. And yeah, like I mean, just I want to take this moment to just like talk about where things are at in America. Like, you know, just you know, usually I don't think this is a political conversation, so I don't have any trouble talking about this, but just and you know, I think this would be interesting conversation with you, John, too. Just like talking about where like the job market is at and like where things are for kids coming out of college, not even kids in college, just people in the, you know, entry level, like, you know, trying to like stand, you know, trying to stay above their bills and their finances and just trying to stay afloat. And, you know, I just really realized like how, you know, coming out of college, just how messed up the system is, like how predatory it can be with just job postings out there. Like, you know, it's a total meme, but it's true that, you know, you'll apply for an entry level position, and it's just like here you need like 5 years of experience, 10 years experience to like do some of the most entry level shit. You know, I feel like when we were in like middle school, high school, like the expectation like coming out of college was like, yeah, you'll probably get a job that's like $60,000. And now it's like, oh yeah, like I hope I can get something that pays like 40 to 50, you know?
right.
And like even then it's like I didn't even experience the worst end of that sort of thing. Like I know a friend out here, like he has a master's and he gets paid like 20 to 30,000 range, I think. And it's just
Is he a
like,
social worker?
no, business.
What?
Yeah. And it's just like, and specifically, like I just want to just say this about the healthcare industry. Like there's some sort of like, I feel like underlying notion that like service workers, like, oh yeah, you can get paid less in the healthcare industry because it's like, but don't you want to help people? Like, isn't
Yeah,
that
you're
what it
supposed to
is?
be passionate about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, but like I also need to make a fair
I need to
wage.
eat. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And
And
it's
like,
weird. We're I don't mean to cut you off,
no, no, go
Ursula, but
ahead.
we're entering a really weird time too, where like companies are really starting to separate themselves between old school and new school
Yeah.
way of doing things. And it's really hard, especially in a job market that's so competitive where a lot of people are still unemployed. It's really hard to like be able to logically or like confidently search out the good places. You just don't know because Ursula and I have both been burned on job postings and interviews that make it seem like the job is a lot better than what it is or completely different than what it is. Like my last job, um, they told me, oh yeah, you'll be in, you know, phone calls and stuff, maybe some of your day. Like you'll be on the phone some of your day, but you'll have like a set number of people you work with. Nope. Nope. It was a call center job. It was absolutely ridiculous. And I feel bad for college graduates right now in general because like I mean and this isn't political, it's fact that people that graduated in the 80s from
Mhm.
college graduates in the 80s made like an average 35,000 salary for their first job out of college.
Yeah.
That's the same number as today. And that was 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell me that's not an issue.
Yeah, and like you just have to like look around, like in terms of movements happening in this country. Like believe it or not, that we have listeners outside of the United States. Like shout out to
Norway.
yeah, shout out to Norway. Also some people in Canada and some other countries, but yeah, like in America, it's just yeah, like there's so many movements going around, like specifically like last year we saw like a really big movement with like Bernie Sanders and things like that, and a lot of progressive ideas coming into play, like Andrew Yang, like he was talking about universal basic income, like $1,000 a month, and there's been obviously it's been like 10 years now we've been talking about upping the minimum wage to $15 an hour, and it's just like that conversation is about to be borderline outdated too, because it's like I remember talking about this since we were in middle school, and the minimum wage has not changed at all in like 14, 15 years here.
It's
It's
highly
still,
outdated.
yeah, it's like 725, which is
Dude,
absolutely criminal.
for a person to afford the average rent in the US, you would need to make like $27 an hour. That would need to be the minimum wage. Like technically the minimum wage in the US should be like $27 an hour, but you're lucky to get that as a college graduate.
Yeah. And like, it's those sort of movements happening. And then right now we're kind of going through people are dubbing it the quote unquote the great resignation, because so many people are just quitting those entry level jobs, and because it's just like people are realizing these employers are predatory, and they're taking advantage of their workers and their mental health and who they are as people. And like with my job that I just had, like it's just kind of like there's no way that you couldn't have known uh what the job actually entailed and what you were advertising it to me as in the interviews. And there's a lot of like you know uh I guess benefits like promised in terms of the actual position, things like flexible work hours and things like that. And that was just not given. And when I tried to do it, got in trouble. And it's just like just be respectful of your employees, and before the hiring process be transparent with them. Like you want to be transparent with them, or you're going to have a situation where they quit 6 to 12 months in. Like
That's
this
so
job,
costly to a company too.
yeah, like the job I got right now, like, and also like this wasn't the only company I interviewed for. And this also just in terms of the interview process, John, you probably have stuff to say too. It's just like it's insane to me how these companies, they're trying to hire people, and the process can just get drawn out through weeks and months of like, oh, first interview done, or like you do the application, they reach out to you a week or two later, get an interview, do that interview a week after that, then like 2 weeks of nothing or a week of nothing. Next interview, okay, we'll reach out to you in a few weeks. Don't hear anything back for like months. Like it's like, don't you want to get people in the door, get people sitting in that seat working for you? Like
Right.
like I feel like all these companies have this like fucking ego complex because there's so many people trying to find a job because of COVID last year. That's just insane. Like the company, like I said, I literally, it was like a week turnaround. They're super respectful of my time. I feel like that should be a standard for any company. Like be respectful of the potential people you're recruiting. And also, yeah, like this company, like I said, seems like amazing. And just off the first impressions, like very good benefits. Like, I'm gonna get, it can be completely remote. I have unlimited PTO. I can take PTO whenever I need to. I don't have to accrue it either, which is super big.
That's crazy.
Flexible work hours. And it's just like that's companies don't want to admit it, especially these boomer run companies.
Yeah.
But this is where the market is heading. When your competitors are doing things like this, why would you want to stay at a company that has outdated work ethics and work ideas of the workplace? Like people don't need to go in. People don't need to make that 30-minute commute to do that desk job. People, you know, when there's been studies literally like when you have unlimited PTO, people take less PTO because they're more ingrained into the work culture, and because that unlimited PTO comes with respect for the employee and their life and things like that. And like I was telling John right before this, like I feel like now I can really, or I might have just said this at the beginning, but I can really, I feel like build my life or build my work around my life as opposed to the other way around. Uh, and I think that's super huge. I think we need to stop uh romanticizing like just
This
working,
work hard culture,
yeah.
work to the bone culture in America that's been here since the 40s. Dude,
Mhm.
it doesn't need to be that way. Like life, and I think the lockdown and COVID, all of that made everyone kind of wake up to the fact that work is not the most important thing in life. Your
Yeah.
family that you are home with all day, every day for a year, your pets, that's what's important in life, not working 50 hours a week. Like it's just like this whole all of I think COVID is the biggest thing that really it's changing the whole scope and scape of the workplace in America. And I hope that it forces companies to actually innovate, because this idea that you should have to go into the office and work 40 hours a week and have 10 days off a year, it's all garbage. And it's ideas that came about in the 40s when, and I've said this
When they were
before,
literally fact service line workers, like working in factories.
and only one person had to work to support a family and one person at home. Like, I don't understand this boomer mentality that like, oh, work harder. Like, no, it's not that, guys. When you were growing up, only one person had to work in the household. You had mom at home a lot of times and you had dad at work. But that doesn't work anymore. Two people have to work to support a household. And
Yeah.
I hope that wages adjust eventually, because wages are highly outdated in America. And I mean, most companies I think are moving toward higher wages, better benefits, like the company that you got with Ursel. Um, there's a lot of bad actors. There's a lot of bad companies out there, and they're gonna have to adapt or they're gonna sink. Like,
Yeah.
dude, workers are the most valuable resource any business has. And with companies innovating and like adding unlimited PTO, having totally remote work, like those are the companies that people are going to want to work for. And companies are competitive with their business. They need to start being competitive about the people that are running the business.
Yeah. And like seriously, that and I feel like it's just a parallel to America in general. Like America is just United States, I guess, and specifically, don't want to throw Canada in this, but the United States, I feel like with its history is just slow, glacial in its change. Like guys, it was 60 years ago that there was still segregation in like classrooms and restrooms and public places. That was just 60 years ago. That wasn't that long ago, and it seems like it's like the most inhumane thing when you think about it. We still have so many racial issues going on in the country right now. There's so many economic disparities that are going on, why these movements are occurring, and it makes sense like why people are wanting to have these discussions. And I think our generation, we're going through the thick of it, with the 2008 crash and COVID and 9/11. We're very like we've experienced a lot,
We're a
our generation
seasoned
has.
generation.
Yeah, we've seen a lot. And yeah, like you said, like expenses have gone through the roof, like the biggest one being college is
Yeah.
so expensive now compared to like what it used to be. I'm ready to go back in spring to get a master's, and I have to really like readjust a lot of my finances and really plan ahead because of I'm in a lucky enough position where I could probably afford it without having to take loans. But a lot of people aren't in that boat, and you get out of college and you have crazy loans with crazy interest rates. Yeah, John, you could probably share that on that,
Yeah.
but like, it's just, and at the end of the day, like, I guess my parting note on it is, if you're an employer, treat treat your employees with respect, before the process, during the process, because somebody else will. People are starting to modernize, and if you're an employee, I just have to say, that it there's a lot of people right now working jobs just to pay the bills, and I totally get that, and they don't have the luxury to find a job that they quote unquote like. But you know look, just look, there, you know it might not be the greatest, it might not be the work that you want to do or things like that, but if you can find a workplace where you like your coworkers, you can tell the company respects who you are and your values, outside of work, and who you are as a human being, and not just what you bring to the table as an employee and what you can get done. Those are, and you can tell really early on. You can tell that, if you just do your research for each company, try to find that. And also, like, if you're going through hard times, you know I was in a position where, and John knows this, I've talked about this with John, where it's just like, probably before last year, I was just, it was hard for me to talk to people about my issues. I like to keep it a lot to myself. I like to keep it a lot to, let me try to control it. I don't want to put the burdens on anyone else, but
Right.
don't have that sort of thinking, because you have family, you have friends. Reach out to them, you know have someone to lean on in hard times, because you need that. We're all in this together. COVID was like a shared experience, where the shared trauma, like, of community. Reach out to your family, reach out to your mom and dad, talk to them about what you're going through, reach out to your best friends, reach out to your loved ones, and just work through it with them, and you'll get to the other side. Because there's people who go through this sort of stuff, and you know and they don't make it to the other side. you know this type of stuff, this kind of situation that just drains you every single day, takes the life out of you. uh for some people, it's longer than 8 or 9 months, like it was for me. It's years, and it can lead to fatal consequences, and people don't realize that. And seriously, that's my main message. Is this is, surround yourself with everything in life that respects who you are as a person, in every aspect. And always know that you have someone by you. Never discount who you see every day and who you spend your time around, because those people, they're rooting for your success just as much as you are. And yeah, like, that's kind of, a little bit of my soapbox, but I just wanted to share that, because it's a message that I want to share. And it's really helped me get through, just knowing I can rely on others in hard times. But that's kind of my ending point on that. But John, like, what about you? I know if you wanted to touch on any of this stuff we talked,
Yeah, dude,
or
definitely. I just want to say to anyone that's listening, don't ever settle for
yeah,
a situation or a job that you don't enjoy, because honestly, it seems like a lot to switch jobs, but you just have to take baby steps with it. You got to start off by, like Ursel mentioned, you got to fix the resume, make a good cover letter, ask a friend if they have a good resume and cover letter to take a look at. Apply to one job a week, even. Like, just take small steps toward putting yourself in a better position, and they will pay off. Like, for Ursel and I, we both knew, like, 2 or 3 months into our jobs or earlier, that we didn't like them. And it took us a long time to be able to get out. And, a year might not be a long time to some people, but for us, it's our first job out of college. It seems like
yeah,
an eternity.
yeah.
Um,
And it's a bad first impression too, like, of
it's
life
a
after college.
terrible first impression, because you're like, wow, I've been brought up to work toward this my entire life, and this is how this is. Like, is it always this bad? Are jobs just terrible? And like, and you talk to some older folks and they're like, oh yeah, you're not gonna like your job, but does it pay the bills? Like, there's so much more to life than just paying the bills. Like, and that's the biggest message I want to get across to anyone that's listening, is that there really is so much more to life than working 40 hours a week. And if you legitimately hate your job, just take small baby steps to improve your situation. Or if you're, I mean, if you're in a situation where you can't get a new job for some reason, or you know for a fact, like maybe you have certain benefits that you can't give up for a certain amount of time, just focus on the things that you enjoy outside of work. And really take the time that you're not working to focus on those things, because it's easier said than done. It's easy to focus on the negatives of work, even outside of work. Ursula and I know firsthand, we probably thought about work almost 24/7 during those last jobs, but you've got to force yourself to focus on the things you love. But that's pretty much the end of what I had for that soapbox.
Yeah. And like, just, I
It was
guess
a good
like,
one. It's an important one to talk about, because I think a lot of people, I would bet that probably half the people listening to this have gone or are going through the same thing.
yeah. And like, I mean, just as like kind of a checkbox thing too, like and this is kind of like to see where people were at, where I was at, is like, you gotta, kind of step back and look at your job. And it's like, what boxes does your job that you work currently check, right? If it pays the bills, I mean, it has to pay the bills if you're probably working it, right? So that's kind of like an automatic check off, right? Then you have to look at, okay, company culture, benefits, things like that. See if that checks the box. I think that's like the second least important, or the benefits and things like that. Then I would say on top of that is culture. And then from there, I would say like, look at, who your actual workplace, like, do you have friends at the workplace? Do you enjoy it, the people you're around? And then at the top is, what are the actual work you're doing? Do you enjoy the work that you're doing? And like, besides the benefits and the pay, my job wasn't checking any of those other boxes. And that was a bit, and those three top red boxes, those are like the culture, the people you work with, and the work you're doing. Those are the most important long-term factors that need to be checked off, or they're gonna negatively impact you a lot. And I'm sure that was the same situation with you, John, with that job. So
Dude,
yeah,
it
like,
literally affected
yeah,
every other aspect of my life. Every other aspect. I wasn't replying to texts as often. I didn't even want to look at my phone after work. I was not a joy to be around, like with Casey. Like, I was always in a bad mood. Like, it affects every other aspect of your life. And the
yeah,
sooner that you can recognize what you do and don't like about it, and weigh the options of finding a new job versus keeping your new job or keeping your old job. Once you can really recognize that, just taking those baby steps to make a change, it even taking the steps, applying to a new job will make you feel better. Just doing that, even if you don't get anything back, it and we both had to apply to like 10, 20 or more jobs before we even got a callback. So
yeah.
just to anyone that's listening, don't ever lose hope in anything really, but especially in a job search, and life in general. Like I mentioned, mental health it's a big topic of conversation nowadays, and I'm glad that we can address it a little bit on the pod.
Yeah, and so I hope everyone enjoyed the little soapbox that we're on. But I think it's a message that specifically me and John are very passionate about, specifically with our circumstances that we went through. Because mental health is super important. Like, I literally would come home and I would not want to leave my apartment, because it
Yeah,
was just like, I don't want to go through any of the outside world. I don't want to go with any inconvenience like parking or traffic or
nothing. Yeah,
anything. Like, I would just order food if I ever wanted to get food. Like I would just stay at home. I would literally like 10 o'clock was my sleeping time. Like if I didn't have anything my way between 5 to 10, I would view it as like wasted time. Like
Yeah.
it's just bad situation. But yeah, get help if you can and know you have help. But yeah, that was a bit of a soapbox. But we're off into greener pastures now. I'm gonna be going on vacation a lot, so that's gonna be so I'm gonna be just kind of giving you guys a schedule of my personal life. I'm gonna be going to Los Angeles next week, just for fun. I always love going to LA. It's sunny California. I love just I'm gonna be free every time I go there. I live like a local, because I go to LA so much. I'm not, you know, crazy on doing like the super touristy stuff. I just go there, eat good food, hang out at the beach. I'm gonna be going to Santa Monica. I'm just gonna lay down on the beach and relax, baby. Like,
Yeah, buddy.
and I'm gonna have a damn good time doing it. But we'll see how that affects my availability for next week. I'm planning on still doing an episode. I just my audio might just be shittier because I will probably be using like a earbud mic or some shit like that. But we'll see. And then I will be in Omaha as well.
Omaha.
The week after that. And also same situation. I could probably do a phone recording or something like that, or I could probably come to one of your guys' place and record with you guys.
Ooh, physical pod.
In-person recording, which we've never done before.
That'd be super fun.
Yeah, and but yeah, so my plan is, even though wherever I'm gonna view it as like wherever I'm going now, I'm not gonna necessarily view it as a vacation. It's just gonna be it's me living life, and you know, like I'll be working. I'll be making sure I'm doing the pod. I'm just because I have the ability. I love traveling. I don't know if people know that I love traveling as much as I can, and I'm gonna still keep doing the pod because I'm gonna be traveling a lot more now. But I'm not gonna let I'm not gonna be skipping the pod every other week now. At least that's my plan. So that is kind of what's been up with me. A lot to talk about with that, but now, John, you've had a pretty big week too. So take the stage,
Absolutely.
my man.
Yeah, dude. So the biggest thing
Do you
that
want to give
happened
some
this week.
pretense to? Do you want to give pretense to the wedding gift and things like that, or?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So this man, Ursel, and his girlfriend Tana, they actually got Casey and I the cash. Well, first off, he came to town on the 2nd or the 3rd of July.
Yeah.
And he was so excited to give me my wedding gift, or give us our wedding gift. And I was like, okay, like, what could it possibly be? What is he so excited about? So I open the gift. It's a pretty big bag, if I remember right, but like it was really light. And I had a thought in my head. I was like, did this dude get me a PS5? Did he? Like, there's no way. And I open the gift and it's Tyler Perry's Boo, like a Halloween movie. And I was like, yeah. So I was like, I think I looked at him and I was like, is this a joke? Like, like I want to be respectful, and like if he thought I liked the movie or something, like, oh yeah, okay, this will be a funny movie to watch. And he did give me the actual movie, which is hilarious. We're gonna watch it. But inside the case was the cash to purchase a PS5. So the dude gave me, Tana and Ursel gave me and Casey $500 to get one. So we had it in an envelope on our wall to separate it from everything else. So we didn't want to use it for bills. We didn't want to use it for anything like that. We wanted to make sure that it was a reminder to get the PS5. So the entire month of July and beginning of August, we had been following, Wario64 on Twitter. Shout out Wario. This
Telegram.
like Matt Swinder dude, another restock. I got on Telegram. Got all the restock notifications from every source I could. I was getting a ton of notifications all the time. I got up, at 5:30 in the morning to try to get one from Target one day, had it in my cart, tried to order it 8 times before it was removed from my cart. Like, I think anyone that has successfully ordered a PS5 has had a lot of trouble doing so, besides
Yeah.
those that got it at the very beginning. But anytime since December, it's been impossible to get one. But finally, after trips to NFM before Nebraska Furniture Mart, for those that don't know, Nebraska Furniture Mart, trips to there before they even opened. Which, by the way, there was a lady there. We went one Sunday before they opened, thinking maybe they'd have a restock. Who knows? And this lady was waiting in line at the door before they opened. So we were like, they're probably waiting for a PS5. Let's get out and get in line. And this lady looks at me after talking to Casey. I was like, oh yeah, maybe they'll have a PS5. And she gives me this dirty look and she's like, well, there weren't any yesterday. And I'm like, why
Yeah.
are you here? Why are you here then? Like, if you're trying to deter me from being here by saying there weren't any yesterday, then why the hell are you here? But after all that clownery, GameStop had a restock this week. And I don't know if I actually told you guys this, but I bought a Pro Rewards membership the night before the restock was supposed to happen.
Oh shit.
And yeah, and
How much is that?
just to have a better chance, $20.
Okay. Not bad.
So not bad. And I was like, dude, if it gives me, a top spot at being able to
Yeah.
get one, I'm like, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You're that guy. So I got the Pro membership, and then I got an email saying, oh, it's going to take 24 hours to activate. And I'm like, wait a minute, it's 5 p.m. The restock is supposedly happening at 10 a.m. the next day. I'm like, I'm not going to have a chance. I'm not going to get it this time. But luckily, my Pro Rewards membership, whatever thing, it activated like that night at 11 p.m. So I attempted to order it on Tuesday, but I was really busy at work with meetings, and they were active meetings where I had to actually take notes and be a part of it. So I was like, God damn it, I'm gonna miss out again. But Casey, I woke her up literally 5 minutes before the restock, and I was like, babe, you gotta try this for me. I'm in a panic, babe, this is our only chance. We've got chances after, last Tuesday, but I was like, this is our only chance. We gotta get it. So Casey kept refreshing the page and stuff. And funny enough, the bundles came up before the restock notifications went out from everyone. So the restock actually happened at 9:57 instead of 10. So Casey added one to our cart, and we accidentally added the digital version to our cart at first. And I was like, oh no. So she tried to check out before we even realized it, and it failed. So we were like, oh shit. And then we scrolled down the page, and I looked at it, and I was like, oh, don't order that one. That's the digital. So she grabbed the bundle that had Ratchet and Clank, Spider-Man Miles Morales, a year of PS Plus, and an extra controller. She added it to the cart, checked out, and it worked immediately.
That's
dude,
awesome.
It was a ride for sure. The entire.
Is there a lot of screaming going on?
There was, and it sucked because I was in the middle of a meeting taking notes that I had to be a integral part of, and Casey, I heard her kind of whisper, scream we got one, I got one, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I was freaking out. And then so we got it. I got the email the next day that my order was confirmed, so it was Wednesday. And then later that night, I got the shipping confirmation. So I was excited. I was like, okay, this is official. I'm actually getting it. But I'm the guy that doesn't believe anything until it's physically in my hands. So there was one last little kink in the road before I was able to successfully secure the bag. So the package was supposed to show up on Friday, and we live in a 3rd floor apartment. And funny enough, our window faces the main entrance to our apartment complex. So we see like Amazon people come through. We see FedEx, UPS all the time. And the FedEx guy shows up at 11. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, this is it. It's got to be it. Like, he's going to drop it off. And I watch him like drive around, and he drives to the other side of the apartment complex first. And I'm like, I immediately start thinking negative thoughts. I'm like, this dude's like not at the right spot. Like, what is he doing? So he actually does drive back around to our apartment, and I see him get out of the truck with no package. He's right by our apartment. He goes to the back door that doesn't have like the ringers, so you can't buzz in. He goes to the back door. I see him enter something on his phone. They're like, literally, I'm watching like a hawk. It sounds so bad. Like, I'm supposed to be working, but I'm sitting looking outside the window like a dog.
Were you on your lunch break
for the mailman? No. I was just like, nah, dude. I was like, because Casey spotted the FedEx guy, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, let's see if he brings it up. So I see him enter something on his phone, and he goes back to his truck, and I'm like, no way, no way, no way. And after like 10 seconds of doing something on his phone, as he's walking back and in his truck, I see him drive away. And I'm like, no way. So I text these guys, and I'm like, this FedEx driver just didn't deliver my PS5. And Andrew was like, oh, there's multiple FedEx drivers that go to my apartment in a day. No big deal. And I'm like, okay, maybe. And then I refresh the tracking information, and it's like, your package will be delivered Saturday. Sorry, we tried to deliver it, but no one was there. No one answered. I was like, I was looking out the window at the dude. They didn't ring our apartment. I went down to both doors. There was no like FedEx note that said, we tried to deliver your package, pick it up here instead, or wait another day. Nothing like that. So Casey, she goes on our like the tracking website or whatever, and she changes the pickup location to the Walgreens that's right next to us right after he leaves. So, he probably got a notification that he has to go drop it off to the Walgreens. So this driver probably knows, oh shit, they're actively keeping an eye on this. They want their package. So I call FedEx, or I don't call FedEx, I tweet at them, and I get on a live chat with them too. And I'm like, this delivery driver, I just watched him make literally no attempt to deliver my package. And he just drove off. And she didn't message me back until 20 minutes later when it showed up at our doorstep. So it showed up at our doorstep 20 minutes after I complained, and I was tweeting about them, and I was getting on live chats, and I sent them an email, and we changed the pickup location. Casey saw the driver come back. It was the same guy. It was the same guy. Now, please, if someone has any insight on shipping and how it works, please tell me if it makes sense for a driver to come to an apartment complex to deliver packages, leave, and come back 20 minutes later. Logistically, does that make any sense? Was that protocol? Was that what was supposed to happen? I don't believe so. I believe that this dude was honestly trying some shit. Like, this guy was trying to steal the PS5. Like, because why would he make no attempt? We saw him make no attempt to deliver our package, leave, and after complaining and changing the location of pickup, he came right back, the same guy. I'm like, no way. That is not a coincidence. That was not a simple mistake. There has been too much animosity in the world and too much crap going on with the PS5 and horror stories that I've heard for that to be a coincidence. So like I even tweeted at FedEx and I explained the situation and I'm like, y'all need to fire this driver or look into this for real, because like I said, too many situations have happened. Like Ursula, you told me one where some like delivery driver would intentionally deliver it to the incorrect address and after his shift would go back and pick it up for himself.
Yeah.
And then it would just be on the company. Oops, lost in shipping. Let's not look into it any further. Let's not look at the driver and what happened. Let's just give the person their money back. Like, dude, this is, if I would have had it stolen, this is not a, this isn't a fucking a video game or a movie. It's not something that they can be like, oh, whoops, we'll refund you, or oops, we'll send one out 1 day shipping. You'll get it tomorrow, no problem. If our PS5 was taken or stolen, it would have been months probably before we got a replacement. So that's pretty much my PS5 soapbox. I think most people had a pretty big trouble getting one if they've tried to get one since December. But I will say that it's an experience and I'll remember it for the rest of my life. Like every time I'll look at that, I'll remember the journey that it took to get it.
Yeah. And like kind of just before we get into your like the actual PS5 experience, just kind of like sharing like my own thoughts and experiences. And kind of speaking on Andrew's behalf too, like I've heard stories of that. I even see on like fucking TikTok, dude. Like FedEx drivers will be making TikToks and they're like, "Oh, I see a PS5 in my like delivery truck, like lost in transit." Like people literally like be joking about that. I'm like, that's fucking
Terrible,
insane.
even to joke about it.
Yeah, and then like like I said, I've heard people like delivering it to the wrong address and coming to get it after the fact. Even I mean, just fucking delivery. Like I don't know what's going on with FedEx, man. FedEx needs to get their shit together.
They do.
Like
They're terrible.
yeah, like Andrew, I think Andrew got his actual PS5 no problem, but when he got Miles Morales, the case came broken. Luckily the disc wasn't damaged, but his case was broken. With my shit with FedEx, I was the first wave. I pre-ordered the PS5 in the first wave. Um, and it was supposed to come at launch day and it got delayed a week. So that was annoying. And it was kind of a stressful time for me too during then because November was when I was moving and I wanted to make sure I was leaving Nebraska with that fucking PS5.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
And it kept getting delayed because it was like November 12th was when the console launched, and then it was like November 14th, November 16th.
Not to mention, didn't FedEx deliver your suit or was it UPS?
UPS actually delivered the suit.
Oh.
So yeah, but yeah, I have terrible experience with delivery services, but so it kept getting delayed, and I was like, dude, is this like there's a chance this might not come before I move because I left Sunday of that week, but the console did eventually come on Wednesday. It came, I think, November 18th, whatever that day was. And I got it. And lo and behold, I put my PS5. I was actually able to, that thing is really big, but I was able to fit it into my backpack. And because I didn't want to put it in any suitcase and have it, get damaged or anything. So I kept it in my backpack at all times on that 21-hour drive from Nebraska to Arizona. And yeah, it was safe and sound. But yeah, even I had some troubles, like in terms of my shipment came a week late. When I was ordering the PS5, like, it was like a Wario 64 tweet, like there's going to be a stock open at like 8 p.m. I got my PS5 right away. My brother was also trying to get one at the same time. And he was like 30 seconds behind me and he didn't get one, which is insane.
That's insane.
But yeah, it's like, getting a PS5, part of that experience is almost just going through the fucking frenzy of trying to get one, beating the scalpers, beating everyone else in the world. And yeah, but you have a PS5 now, John. Congratulations.
I'm one of the elite. I'm one of the
top 1%.
Literally probably one of the 3% of people that actually wants one that has one. Because imagine how many of the 11 million PS5s that are out there that went to scalpers. Yeah. I would honestly wager probably half.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was an insane experience, but I finally got it.
Yeah. Share your
I
experiences with it.
booted it up. It actually probably it was probably a blessing that I was kind of busy at work because I didn't have to wait around for shit to download. I was distracted by work. So, by the way, screw the PS4 Wi-Fi speed cap. That was BS. I don't know why that was a thing. The PS5 is so fast. I
Yeah.
downloaded like I think I ended up downloading 4 games, probably 330 gigabytes worth of shit in less than 3 hours. Like,
Yeah.
so it's incredibly fast. The controller, I know Ursul's talked about this on a previous podcast episode, but it's stupid. Like, this thing feels insane. The triggers, um, they've got adaptive triggers, so it'll push back at you, or they'll vibrate, and they vibrate in such a like detailed way that, for example, when you play Astro's Playroom and they've got little bots inside the controller, you can hear and you can feel them like
In
rolling
the
around
controller.
and
Yeah.
falling to one side and falling to the other. Like like you said, Ursel, the controller itself is what feels the most next gen, until I booted up Spider-Man Miles Morales, and holy shit, dude, that game looks insane. It's
Yeah.
like it doesn't like you're not gonna look at the game and be like, oh my gosh, this is like a movie. It's real life. In some moments, it does look like that, but it still looks, like a video game to a certain extent. But the reflections off of like, think about it. You play a video game, even Spider-Man 2018, and you go up the walls and the windows on the building, they're so lifeless. They're black because the amount of data and energy and processing power just to make reflections off the window wasn't possible before this generation. And now you're like crawling up windows and you can see your reflection against the window. Like, it's just little details like that are insane. The lack of loading times, there's no loading times. You open up Spider-Man Miles Morales and you get the cool PS Studios cutscene thing that shows all the exclusive
Properties. Yeah.
characters, and then boom, it shows Miles in the subway. You click X and you're right in.
Like one
So
second, literally like 1 second loading. It's like
yeah,
instant.
it's oh, I didn't realize what I was missing until I finally got one. And
Hmm.
now I will never go back. Like, if I don't have to use the PS4, I'm not going to.
Yeah. But what do you I guess I just want to like prod your brain a little bit about just your general experience. Like, I guess, what do you think about the design of the console itself? I was from the beginning, I've always thought it looked absolutely sexy. It has like a very architectural design to it. And I've always said that like the controller, the color scheme, the way the console looks, it really feels like if Sony or any gaming company like handed the reins to like Apple and was like, like
Right.
I feel like, if I ever imagined like an Apple console, like I feel like it would look like this really sleek, futuristic design. And to be honest, like so many people were talking about the size of it. And yeah, when you put it up against the other PlayStations, other consoles, uh, it's definitely bigger. But honestly, I thought it was going to be even bigger than it was. And Sony, PlayStation, they said themselves, like when they were making the design of this console, they wanted something that stands out in your living room. That's like a centerpiece of the living room. People notice it, which I love, especially if you have a setup that accompanies the aesthetic of it. It looks really, really beautiful. Um, and I mean, both you and me and John, we set it up vertically. I feel like that's the way to go.
You have
And
to.
yeah, and I love that too because it's like it's so on top of like the fact that it's so hard to get, right? Anytime someone has ever entered my apartment, people know what that is.
Yeah,
People look at, they're like, dude, that's the PS5. Like people know,
exactly.
like it's not like that black box that hides in your entertainment system. Because like I have an Xbox, like I have a black entertainment stand, and I have an Xbox One as well. I actually don't have my PS4 hooked up anymore to this setup, but I have my Xbox One in there, and it just like completely blends in. Like you just don't even notice it. But the PS5, it really is like a centerpiece. Like to me personally, I feel like it achieves that goal that they were going for with the design. Because I look at that thing all the time. And I'm just like, God damn, that thing looks sexy, baby. Like
I know, dude. I'm literally like every time I walk in my living room, I'm just like looking at it, sheeshing in my
yeah.
head.
But yeah, what do you think about the physical nature of it, the design, and what are your thoughts on that?
Well, this is going to speak a lot to that. We hung up our TV. We literally hung up our TV above our TV stand just for the PS5. We bought $160. Luckily, we had an NFM gift card as a wedding gift, but we bought this TV mount to mount our TV above this TV stand so that we didn't have to put the PS5 horizontally. We wanted it to be the centerpiece of our living room, the only console that sits on top of the TV stand, and that's how it stands. I think it's beautiful, especially the little the X square circle triangle that you see not only on the controller grips, but on the console itself. I don't know if it's on the outside. I don't think I looked that closely yet.
I think it's only on the inside of the.
Yeah, but on the inside of like the wings, I guess,
Yeah.
you can see the triangle, circle, square X's like you do on the controller. And I thought that was a really cool touch. If you're playing it in the living room with the lights off, it just illuminates all the way
Yeah.
down the side, the blue light, even the rest mode light. It just, it looks like a building that you would see like in UAB, like, or one of the richest countries in the world, or UAE,
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
UAB. Like it literally looks like it reminds me of the not the Burj Khalifa, but it reminds me of a building or a
Yeah.
skyscraper.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and it's also massive for
Mhm.
any of those that don't know. It's basically like the closest thing to a PC that a console has looked like, but way sexier. I mean, it's
Mhm.
not a square, it's very
Tower.
sleek. Yeah, it's an elegant design, but I love it and I love playing it. Except I'm gonna switch gears a little bit here. Casey and I have been working toward finishing Spider-Man 2018 for a while now.
Yeah.
And this is just John technology luck. I always find a way to screw something up when it comes to technology, but we were playing the game and we had just gotten to the scene where like shit starts hitting the fan. We're like, I asked Ursula, I was like, how far do you think I am in the game? This just happened. He's like, you're in the final act. Like, this is the end game of the game. Like, this is the end game now. So we were talking a little bit. And I was like, man, I really want to play on the remastered version though. Like the load times for the PS4 version are just it's very similar to what
There
it was
are
on the
load times.
console. Yeah, there are load times even on the PS5, and I'm like I want to play the remastered. So I was going into my cloud saves. I closed the game after getting 75% of the way through in Spider-Man 2018. I closed the game and I went to my cloud saves and I was going to try to apply it to Spider-Man Remastered. Because I had cloud saves from that night. I had one from 10:55, and I was trying to overwrite, the save data on the remastered version at 11 o'clock. So I had the most recent save. I was good. But when I went to apply the cloud save, for some reason, it overrode all of my save data on the PS4 version of the game. So I was back to 5% finished, like a save from 2019 or 2020. And I was like, whoa, what the hell is going on here? So like I'm going through the settings and like messing around with things, messing around with saves, moving files, like deleting shit. And I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out how to get my save data back on the PS4 version, let alone apply my data to the remastered. So I figured out afterward how I should have done it, and I should have looked it up before I just went ahead and started messing around with my cloud data. But if I would have just went into the remastered version from the beginning and pressed R1 to download like my most recent save file, that would have been it. That would have been all I had to do. That literally would have been all I had to do. But instead, I went into the settings of the PS5, went into my cloud data saves, and I was trying to apply shit, delete shit, and it ended up bad. So I'm not going to be able to actually finish probably for a while the first Spider-Man. So I'm going to end up watching like a cutscenes vid to finish it. And then we're going to get into Miles Morales, finish that. We've been wanting to play God of War for a while. So we're going to get into that in 60 frames per second, right?
Yes,
They
sir.
have the
4K 60.
4K 60 FPS. We're also going to get around to replaying The Last of Us 2 because I want to play that in 4K 60 FPS without having to hear a jet engine take off. That was my old PS4.
That's the other thing. The PS5 is like dead quiet.
It's so quiet.
Yeah.
Like when it's starting up, you hear the fans kick on pretty good. But besides that, dude, when you're actually playing a game, it's just dead silent.
Yeah.
But everything about the PS5 has been amazing so far. Like anyone that's a Sony fan or wants a new console or is debating on one or the other, we've talked about the benefits of each a lot. But, you know, if you're wanting to get the best first party experience, the best single player games for sure, get a PS5. I mean, this thing, not only is it beautiful and it's a staple and it will be a centerpiece in your living room, but
it feels like a premium device, you know?
It does. It feels like a premium device. It plays like a premium device. The UI is really slick and clean. The controllers are incredible. Everything about it screams next gen, more so than any upgrade that I've really ever seen. I mean, the jump from PS3 to PS4 was pretty crazy, especially when you look at the end of the life cycle of the PS4. But it's a very, very obvious upgrade right away. And I encourage anyone to follow those accounts. You know, get annoyed by the notifications because once you actually secure one, it's so worth it. But that pretty much wraps up how I'm doing. Ratchet and Clank is really cool too.
Yeah, I guess
I think
I wanted to ask
beautiful.
you a few specific questions if you don't mind.
Oh, absolutely.
I get like first off, what's your thoughts on the color scheme, the white and black color scheme?
It's really beautiful. It's kind of, for us, it sucks a little bit because it doesn't really fit the design of our apartment too much. But the design of our apartment is kind of like, we have a lot of different stuff. It's not all one scheme, one color scheme. So it fits in a way. But in a way, I'm like, maybe I wish it was all black. That might look a little better and still be a staple and a big centerpiece.
Well, I guess that my follow-up question to that was going to be, are you going to swap out the plates?
I don't think I'll swap out the plates just yet. I haven't really even thought about it, but dude, the like maroon controller, if for some reason they made maroon plates and it
they have maroon plates. They have like
they do.
You go on do you know D brand? Like they make
yep.
Yeah, they have plates of like every color. They have black, blue, red, like the green, like
well shit, I didn't know it was maybe I will actually.
Yeah, and you can get plates for like 20 to 40 bucks. Like it's not bad.
That's not bad at all.
I thought about getting the red one because the red one looks super fucking like that maroon. Like it looks super fucking nice.
And the controller in person looks so clean. Like, I
Yeah.
can't wait till you come in town and you can see it in person.
Have you held the DualShock 4 since
Funny enough, the first thing I did when I took the PS4 or the PS5 out of the box was I took out the controller and I grabbed a DualShock 4 and I compared the two. And I had Casey do the same, and I was like we both said, wow, the DualShock 4, like, it feels cheap. It
Yeah.
feels really cheap in comparison because the DualShock 4 is only $5 less, and it's like half the weight.
It
Um,
just feels wrong. It feels wrong to hold in your hands after the dual sets. Sorry,
I didn't,
Casey,
I
because
didn't.
that's what you're gonna use.
Yeah, and I just got new DualShock 4s for Christmas this last year. I'm still gonna use them. Like,
Yeah.
I'll use them if I'm playing a PS4 game, maybe, but
Mhm.
maybe not. We'll see. Maybe if a DualSense dies, but I have two of them, so that probably won't happen.
Yeah. Also, one thing I've noticed, 'cause you'll probably know, I don't know if you'll notice this, is it's really weird, but with the battery on the controller, it hits the low, the controller battery is low, notification, like 2 or 3 hours before it actually dies.
That's
Uh,
actually awesome that it does that.
because I know with like the PS4, like the DualShock 4, like when you get that notification, it's like you got like 30 minutes probably. But the
Right.
DualSense, it gives you that low battery notification like a good chunk in advance. Like, but it can get like annoying because it's like, oh, what the hell? My controller's low on battery. But it's like in actuality, you're probably in the 25 to 50% battery range. Like which so it actually does have a better battery life than DualShock 4. It's just that it gives you that notification of low battery a lot earlier, which is kind of weird, but I guess helpful too, because you don't have to like quit your session then and there. Um,
Right.
I also love kind of the more modular nature of games now. Like I love that you have the option between, hey, do I want like native 4K 30? Do I want dynamic 4K 60? Maybe with ray tracing off. Some games do have ray tracing on still in that case. But like actually like for Miles Morales is actually like goes above and beyond because I don't know if you noticed this, John. Miles Morales has three graphics options. They have the fidelity mode, which is 4K ray tracing, 30 FPS. They have the performance mode, which is for dynamic 4K, 60 FPS, no ray tracing. And then they have a third option they actually added a little bit after launch called performance ray tracing, which is um, it's I think it's like 1080p to 1440p range for the resolution, but it has ray tracing on it and it has 60 FPS.
What? I didn't
Yeah,
know that. I didn't know there
yeah,
was the third. I only saw performance and fidelity.
yeah. So when I played the game, they didn't have that option, but um, I played in performance, and I for me, I'm always choosing performance because I think that 60 FPS is like I love that 60 FPS. It's just so smooth. Like playing even like Last of Us 2 in 60 FPS was like transformative. Swinging around in Miles Morales was just so good in that 60 FPS.
It
You could probably
does.
attest.
It does. It feels ridiculous.
Yeah, but you told me you
So
were
smooth.
sticking to 30 if you want to share a bit on that.
Yeah, just for the beginning of the game at least, I've been sticking to 30 just because I'm still like caught up in the hype of next gen, and I want it to look the best it can all the time.
Yeah.
Um, but some people think that 60 FPS looks better than, the fidelity mode at 30. I think the fidelity mode at 30, like, I mean, 30 FPS has never been a huge issue for me. I just came from PS4, so I'm like still fresh out of, the gate with that. And maybe as eventually I'll want to play performance mode only, but no, the fidelity mode looks amazing. Um, and especially when you're like showing it off to your friends that don't have one, like Brittany and Thad came over tonight or last night. Shout out to them, Taylor and Matt. Um, and they thought it looked incredible. And then I
Mhm.
turned on the performance mode and they still thought it looked incredible, but they like you can tell
Yeah.
that it smooths out in a weird way.
The ray
Like
tracing's
it
gone. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Um, but for now, yep, I'm sticking to fidelity. It looks amazing. All of the reflections and everything. It just brings so much life to the game.
Yeah. Did you like could you notice the difference like when you switch between 60 and 30?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's a noticeable
Yeah,
difference.
you're like when you play for 60 for a bit and then switch to 30, like it almost like looks kind of like stuttery for a second. You have to like let your eyes kind of adjust to it for like a minute or so. Then yeah, then it's fine. But like for that first minute, it's like, whoa, like this
Right.
feels weird.
Yeah,
But
and I haven't switched I didn't play performance for too long and then switch back to fidelity. I did the
mm,
opposite where I played fidelity for a while and then switched to performance. And doing that is like it's insane because
yeah,
it's so much smoother. And
yeah.
you don't realize that coming from an older generation being so accustomed to 30 FPS for so long.
Yeah, like I've just been, yeah, now every game I play, it's like in 60 FPS and it's great. And when I have gone back and played something 30, like GT Online or something, like it's like, I actually, I really notice it.
Yeah, I can't wait for
But
that upgrade,
yeah, yeah.
that
And
GTA
yeah,
upgrade.
I'm excited for like, what do you think of Ratchet and Clank, I guess?
Yeah, Ratchet and Clank. We only booted it up for like 10 minutes. Because we wanted to see everything. We wanted to see how everything looked. We were testing all the games
Yeah,
and shit. And Ratchet and Clank was the one that like Casey herself is less interested in than some
yeah,
of the other games we had. So just by that, we haven't played much of it. But I'm excited to get back into it because we watched like the beginning cutscenes and just the fur on
yeah.
the I can't remember her name, but the girl
Rivet.
Ratchet, yeah, Rivet is stupid. Like I even went up to the TV. I went right up close to the TV and I don't have the best TV. So I could tell the TV didn't look great, but like there's no like everything's rounded, everything's perfectly rounded. There are no pixels that you can see. It's dude, it's next gen. And it feels like next
Can
gen.
you tell like can you tell the difference between 1080p and 4K?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Even on
Absolutely.
my shitty even on my shitty like $250 Hisense 4K TV, I can tell the difference. But if we're in a financial position to do so, this Black Friday, we might actually get like a good TV
Yeah, go for it.
for the PS5.
Yeah, Sony and Samsung. Those are like the best 4K TVs or best TVs, I feel like. And then yeah, I mean, I'm excited for you to play God of War. Like,
Yes. We'll
I mean,
probably start that today.
yeah, I mean, just I know I've kind of mentioned something similar before, but IGN actually put out like a list of the 10 best PlayStation exclusives ever. And
I did see that this morning,
yeah,
actually.
yeah, and God of War was number one. And
Yep.
they only chose one game per series, but just to keep redundancy to a low. But yeah, Last of Us was two, and God of War was number one.
Yeah.
Uh, and yeah, and I think I would say yeah, like God of War probably is like the Last of Us equivalent of this generation, just because I mean Last of Us two isn't even the equivalent of Last of Us one because it's so different, you know.
Right.
But um, and like I know there's a lot of people that share the sentiment that God of War is the a lot of people hold God of War as the best PlayStation 4 exclusive, and they hold it up with like like Breath of the Wild as like the best game of this generation. I don't personally share that sentiment. I think it's an amazing, fantastic game. I know Andrew does. It's actually Andrew's favorite game ever,
Yeah.
which is crazy. And I'm really excited for you to get into it. And I'd just say stick through with it because, like Andrew, I know when Andrew played it, he was texting me about it while he was playing it, and he was like, "It's funny because now it's his favorite game ever." Because he
Yeah.
was like, when he was playing it early on, he was like, "Yeah, this is kind of slow, like a little boring. Like I don't know, like I don't know if I'll keep playing it." I was like, just keep playing it a little more. I like
Just keep nudging him.
yeah, I just like just keep playing it a little more. Like it's like the same thing with like Last of Us One. Like the more you play it, just the better it gets. And I'm really excited for you to play it, not because I think you'll enjoy it a lot, just with like Norse mythology and things like that, with Loki and
Oh,
things like that. And it's really cool to see in that game like how they frame like the Norse gods like Loki and Thor and all that stuff in that story, but also I just want to know what your opinion is of the game and how that fits in amongst your ranking of like PlayStation exclusives. Because
Yes.
I mean, I would, if I was a betting man, I think you would probably like Last of Us more still, but who knows? Like I could see you totally playing God of War and liking it more because like the combat, I would definitely say like the combat is better. Like the gameplay is a lot more like fun and frenetic. And you know, it's a great time to play it now. 4K 60 FPS. Honestly, I could see us probably doing an episode on it in the fall. And
Yeah,
I'll probably replay it for that too, because I mean, I would love to play it at 60 FPS. And God of War, the sequel, is gonna come out next year, so we can all be on that hype
exactly.
train.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm so
So
excited to start it.
yeah, and that's like the thing with like PlayStation is like, you know, I feel like it's just like the most well-rounded. You know, it has that third-party support, but it also has that cream of the crop first party. You know, like those first-party games that aren't just games; they're like experiences. You know, like you
Exactly,
know,
dude.
you're getting an experience when you're playing something like that. It's not just a game. When you play Miles Morales, it feels like not just you're playing a Spider-Man game. It feels like, you know, it feels almost like an MCU movie and like how the acting is and like it's just so well done. And you could
Yeah,
probably
dude.
attest to, yeah.
It's crazy. Even though I won't finish Spider-Man 1, like what we've seen up to this point has been like a TV show or like a really, really long movie. And
Yeah.
it's crazy to see, we talk about it all the time, but it's crazy to see where video games are going.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm excited that you're finally on the ninth generation. It's, you
Finally.
know, it's always for us, for you viewers, you know, me and John have always been kind of like the tech, more tech savvy people in the group. I feel like it's always kind of been like an arms race between between me and John, like who could, you know, because me and John both like that's one of the things that we've always connected about is just like being on top of technology in the gaming world, but outside too, like in terms of our setups, our you know, tech devices. Like, you know, John
How
was
many
the first.
consoles we have.
Yeah, yeah. John was the first to get a PS4. I got one a week after.
Yup.
Like I was the first one to get an Apple Watch, and then John went and got one the same day.
Exactly.
Yeah, like you know, we're always keeping on top of it, and yeah, and I love that, and yeah, I love that photo you put on Snapchat, just like all the consoles lined up, and that was awesome. But
I found my PSP, PS Vita, PS3, obviously PS4. I just couldn't find my PS2. And I
I
don't have a
know,
PS1.
I know,
I
I
want
like
it.
low key want to just like get them again, just to like have that PlayStation family catalog, you know, like just having them all
Same.
there.
I just
Because
want the PS1 just to literally have it sitting there.
yeah, and like something like Astro's Playroom just makes you like realize like, damn, like I love what I love about Astro's Playroom is like it really feels like a celebration of PlayStation's legacy. Like all
Exactly.
the collectibles are like different PlayStation like accessories and items. When you're playing through the levels, there's a bunch of like PlayStation Easter eggs to different IPs.
I
Like
didn't
it's
know there
super,
was a screen attachment for the PS1. Like,
yeah,
what the
yeah.
heck?
Like
That's
it's
so dope.
yeah, there's so much stuff that I didn't even like know existed, and it's like super cool. Like that room where you collect items and you go to after every level, it just is like this museum of PlayStation's history, which is like
Yeah.
super awesome. It's really cool to see PlayStation celebrate their history in that way, in a way that like you don't see PlayStation usually do, as opposed to like Nintendo. You know, like something like Smash Bros. Smash Bros. Feels like the celebration of like Nintendo's history.
Right.
So it's really cool to see something like that.
Maybe
But
we'll see another PS All Stars. Hopefully.
crossing my
Come
fingers.
on, give it to us.
Yeah. But that's a bit of a long, really long how we're doing section. But, you know, that's how things go on the controller cast. But now we can go ahead and get into the current events, and then we can get into the main topic. So let's get into the current events. All right. So getting into the current events, kind of keeping with the same theme, talking about consoles, we've kind of gotten a sales update as well as sales estimates for all three of the big consoles. Now, 4.25 or 4.30 year in, the Switch is at 89 million, which is insane. Um, the
Sheesh.
yeah, the PS5 is at what is it? The PS5 is at just over 10 million. And then Xbox doesn't disclose numbers, but there's estimates that The Series X/S are around the 6 million range. So pretty healthy numbers for all three. Th- that 6 million number makes it the fastest selling Xbox. That 10 million number makes it the fastest selling PlayStation. It actually makes it the fastest selling console ever. And then the Switch, I think probably the fastest selling Nintendo console because it's about to outbeat the Wii in, however many, probably like in the next year or so, I've sold the Wii. So really, I think this is just an indicator of how healthy the video games industry is, how many people have come on to video games in the past generation. I guess I just want to ask you, John, and I mean, with this current event, I guess this update is, I guess, thoughts on these sales numbers, but also with like the Switch, where do you see its final lifetime sales ending up at? Probably too early to tell for Series X/S and PS5, but yeah, I guess what are your thoughts on these sales numbers? And I guess where do you think the Switch will end up in its end of life?
Well, I want to start off by saying I am so glad that I got a PS5 before the next lockdown, because I'm sure there's going to be another lockdown.
Yeah.
That's the way it's starting to sound. And I'm so glad that I was able to secure one before that happens, if we have to stay home a bunch coming up. But I think it's absolutely insane that Nintendo, despite their lack of software, has been able to sell as many consoles as they have. I said it in the beginning. I called this in the beginning and y'all thought I was crazy. I was like, the Switch is going to outsell the Wii. I'm like, it's going to be one of the best selling consoles of all time. Like, this thing is a gem. And you guys were like, yeah, we'll see if there's any good games. The first year was a banger for sure. Or like the launch, because we all knew, the first games that came out on the Switch were amazing. And I think we all kind of assumed that it was going to be that way going forward. We've talked about this 100 times. We know that's not the case. There's nothing to play. But I would guess, and I made this prediction in 2017, and I'll say it again. I think the Switch is probably going to hit 140 million units by the end of its life cycle, or close to it, in the 130s, upper 130s. But if we do the classic ControllerCast estimate to the nearest 5 or 0.5, I would say 140 million. It's absolutely too early to tell for the new consoles, because they could potentially pick up steam or, lose steam as time goes on. Who knows? Sony generally actually picks up steam toward the end of the life cycle of the console. So if I were to make, and I'm not calling this a John prediction, because anything I call a John prediction has actually been correct, and I want to keep my perfect record. But if I were to make a gentleman's bet of $0 on it, I would say that the PS5 is probably going to be the best-selling console of all time. And I think it's probably going to hit like 160 million. I think the PS2 is the PS2 at 162. I can't remember.
PS2 is like 155.
I think the PS5 will do that, or a little bit better than that. I think by the end of the PS5 life cycle, it'll probably be $200 and come with a good game. And there will probably be a slim version, and it'll probably be in most households.
Yeah. And the generation, like, it'll definitely be probably, I mean, at least 5, that's a guarantee, but like, I'm, probably like 7 to 8, just like these past 2 generations.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. 5 years, definitely more than that. I hope they don't make a PS5 Pro. I really hope they don't. I don't think that 8K gaming is in the near enough future for there to be a Pro upgrade. I think the PS5 is a future-proof device at this point for the next 8 years. And I hope that it kicks ass, because if it kicks ass, we're going to get kick-ass games.
Yeah.
Because unlike Nintendo, when Sony's doing well, there's amazing games. But when
Yeah.
Nintendo's doing well, they slack on the games.
And like
Um,
that, like with like PlayStation, this is like this always happens. So like I have no worries. Almost saying this is a guarantee, but and it's like the opposite with Nintendo. And we've talked about this, where with PlayStation, and honestly, like we thought Horizon they said Horizon God of War were going to come out this year. It looks like that might not be the case, but still, like launch year, we got Demon Souls, we got Ratchet and Clank, we got Spider-Man, we got Returnal, we got Astro's Playroom. Uh, not a shabby, not too shabby for the first year, honestly. And that second half of this generation, they're going to be fucking sprinting, just like they did with the
Naughty Dog
PS4
has
game.
to put out a game.
Yeah, yeah,
Naughty Dog's going to be putting out a game on the new console, and who
yeah.
knows what it'll be.
And we have a pretty good idea that a lot of their studios are working on multiple projects. We know Naughty Dog is working on multiple projects.
Insomniac is killing it.
Yeah. Yeah, Spider-Man 2, whenever that comes out, Ghost of Tsushima sequel, like God of War sequel, Gran Turismo next year, Horizon next year. That's just next year. And it's just like
2022 is going to be legendary. Give me the lockdown. Fuck
it. Yeah. And and like with PlayStation, the best is yet to come, especially in the second half of the generation. Like you're gonna get like that swan song, like Ghost of Tsushima and Last of Us 2. You're gonna get some bangers in the second half, and that's like almost a guarantee that you might not find with Xbox or with Nintendo.
Yeah, they have what ifs. We know for a fact that Sony's gonna, have a banger back half of its generation, this generation.
Yeah.
I was gonna say real quick, I think Xbox is probably gonna do like 55, 60 million. I think that Game Pass is gonna be a huge success, but I think that with the availability and movement toward PC gaming, it's always getting more popular. PC gaming is more popular every year. So I think that being able to use Game Pass on PC is just kind of gonna eliminate the use for a lesser machine.
Yeah.
But I think the PS5 is gonna sell like hotcakes because the PS5 is the only place that you can get Spider-Man. It's the only place you can get The Last of Us. It's not the only place you can get Horizon, but it probably will be for a few years.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and
those
I
are
guess
what I was gonna say. What are your predictions? I want to get this on the pod. I want to get it in writing.
Yeah. So I think Switch. I think I'm very close to you in terms of that guesstimate. I'm gonna say 135 million. I to be more, if I want to give a range, I think it's gonna probably be more, like around 130 to 135, because the way I'm looking at it, I think a Switch 2 or Switch successor is going to come out in 2023. That's my prediction. I'm putting that down. And so that gives us 2 years of, let's say this next year they sell another 20 million. That's going to put them at 110 million. I think the year after that, I think I could see it slowing down and it getting to 15 million. That's going to put it at 125 million, probably around when the next console comes out. I think those numbers will slow down. And I think we'll probably see 10 million come in residually from like back half, because consoles still sell after their successors come out,
Right.
And so that's where I'm going to put that 135 million number. PS5, man. Yeah. First off, I just gotta say it's insane because literally, like you said, John, privately, that number is totally constrained by how much they're able to put out. Like
Exactly.
If I can't even imagine what the numbers would be if there wasn't a supply constraint. And it would be insane. Like it'd be shattering records. Like I wouldn't be surprised if it was at 20 million at this time, but
I wouldn't be surprised if it were at 30 if they could produce it.
Yeah, like because everyone wants their hands on one. I think it's going to come down a lot to how long the generation lasts, PlayStation trajectory, who knows. We know worst case scenario, PlayStation still sells 90 million with PlayStation 3. That's worst case scenario. And I have no worries that PlayStation 5 is going to fly past that.
Yeah.
I and yeah, I think it's gonna, and I do agree with you. I think it is gonna probably be the best selling console of all time because gaming is as popular as it's ever been. And the PS5 is just this hot topic, hot commodity everywhere. You know, like on TikTok, you know, like whenever people joke about like next gen consoles, they're talking about PS5, they're not talking about Series X.
Exactly.
Like it's just kind of like a social cultural thing. The PS5 is on top. And so I think it's going to be somewhere in that 150 to 200 million range. I think conservatively, probably yeah, like 160 million. I could see it definitely getting to 170 to 180. If we're thinking absolutely best case scenario, I could see it getting to like 190. I don't know about
Whew.
that. I don't know about that, but like video games are as popular as ever. So it would make sense. I think Series X/S, looking at them, best case scenario for them was 85 million with this 360. They still got sold out by the PS3. So I'm looking at that base, and I'm going to use that as the best case scenario because I think Xbox is in a really healthy place. So I'm going to say probably like 90 million for Series X/S. Um, and somewhere, I would say probably somewhere in that 150 to 175 million range for PS5. I'm going to say 170 million if I'm giving an exact number.
There we go.
So 170, 90, and 135.
So for me, it was 160, 140, and 60.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes, and I'm happy that video games are in the mainstream and they're here to stay. And you know, mobile games aren't taking over any of that shit.
Yeah, none of that BS.
But yeah, it's awesome to see consoles are, you know, like PS5 is selling like hotcakes because it's crazy. 10 years ago, there's conversation of console, you know, is console gaming going to be around 10 years from now? And we know the answer to that.
And I will say this, despite my low prediction for the Series X, I will get one. I will be getting one as soon as I can, as soon as it's easy to get one, probably.
Yeah.
Mostly for Microsoft Flight Simulator and Game Pass. So
Yeah. And yeah, Game Pass, amazing deal. And Xbox has a lot of momentum coming into this generation. So that's why I'm thinking best case scenario, they could potentially sell out the 360. But that's that for the console news. John, you said you've been following the Blizzard situation. Do you have any updates on that?
Specifically, I mean, there's names, but I don't really care too much about the names. I mean, two high-level executives, one of the PR people for Activision Blizzard recently resigned. So shit's been hitting the fan over there. I'm actually trying to pull it up now. I want to see what the most recent news with it was. It's just like it's terrible. It's horrible to see, you know, the direction that it's been going and what's been going on with it, and the treatment of not only these artists in the industry,
Yeah.
but women in the industry. And you know, we talked about it last week, but it paints a really, really bad picture on the whole community in general. But really, the only thing to really speak on is that they're still terrible. Not much news from last week other than two more executives resigned. And the fact that one of them was the lead PR person is, you know, another bad sign. So
yeah. And like going back to like what we were saying at the beginning, treat your fucking employees with respect, because if you don't, they're going to go somewhere else or they'll speak up. And guess what, Activision Blizzard, you are in a fucking lawsuit with the state of California.
I hope they
hates you.
I hope they lose all their talent. I hope the next Call of Duty game sucks ass. I don't care.
Yeah. No,
Honestly, dude. I'm an advocate for human beings at the end of the day. And if the next Call of Duty game fucking blows because they lost all their good talent, great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Like these people with these big wigs at the top, they need to start realizing that they're not immortal.
Exactly. Exactly, dude. Social media is a big proponent of that and getting news out and, getting information out there, and stuff like this is getting out. Who knows how long it's been this way, dude? Like
Years.
yeah, probably
It's
since the
insane.
beginning of the video game industry, it's been bad. Probably since the beginning of Activision as a company, it's probably been like this. It's terrible.
Yeah,
It's
but
terrible to
we'll
see stuff like that.
yeah. So not too many developments have happened in the past week, as John said. But we'll be keeping you guys updated because it is a really big thing going on in not just the gaming world, but in general, I think. Um, so we'll keep you updated as any developments happen, and there will for sure be developments with the story.
Absolutely.
But fuck you, Blizzard execs. Fuck you, Activision execs. Bobby Kotick, step down, you fucking bastard. Like you make 150 million and you lay off like 4,000 employees like every 3 years. So eat a bag of dicks.
Yeah,
Step
seriously.
down. There's no way as a CEO you didn't know this was going on. And I hope we get a little ethical cleansing at at Blizzard and Activision. And I pray for all of the workers that have had to suffer and have
Yeah.
gone through any sort of trauma there. So that's that. I guess keeping it going. Uh, I was thinking that that the new Kanye album was gonna come out, and I was like, okay, we're not gonna talk about it this week. We'll talk about it next week because I know Andrew Kanye is Kanye is a big Kanye fan, but Andrew's a big Kanye fan. So I want to make sure he's on in the episode that we talk about the album, but the album didn't come out again. And I just want to
It's just
like
funny, dude. It's so
yeah.
dumb.
After doing a like 24-hour live stream that included him like lifting weights in his like jail cell of a room and like literally sleeping through the whole night, and like finally doing the live stream, and the actual event was pretty epic from what it looked like. Like there's a part at the end where like literally he got like lifted up like by a wire like through the stadium, and like this like hot, like glorious music was playing, and it was pretty cool. And the album seemed really really good. The Weeknd's feature on it is like beautiful. I don't know if you heard it, John.
I haven't heard it yet.
Yeah, it's so good.
Oh,
It's just like he's like really hitting those vocals hard on that feature. But
yeah. Whew.
yeah. But the album didn't come out. But and John, I know you're not that big of a Kanye fan, so I kind of want to make this a broader question to you: is you know, do artists like have an obligation to the public, like when they set these deadlines to abide by them? Like, or is it like like if the Weeknd or fucking AJR or fucking anyone, they said their album was coming out multiple times and it just doesn't come out, it just gets delayed. Like how would you feel about that? Like, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think that it's hilarious actually that Kanye is doing this because he's done it before.
Yeah.
He's trolled his fan base before, but you come to expect something like that from a person like Kanye. It's no surprise. Even Frank Ocean has done shit like that. But I think if you're gonna set a deadline and it's a week out, I think you should probably abide by it for the sake of your fan base. I mean, a week is not a long time. Like you're not saying, oh, Metroid Prime 4 is coming out, at some point. Like the Kanye at least is giving us a date, but he's not abiding by it. But if an artist is going to give a date of an album coming out and it's a week out, fucking put the album out. Are you like, it's a no-brainer. But like you said, if the Weeknd did this, if like AJR maybe, or Imagine Dragons, I don't know, like some band or artist with a huge fan base, if they do that, it's going to potentially alienate some people to the artist as a person. But in this case, and in most cases, I don't think it's like the biggest issue in the world. I really don't think it's gonna totally change people's perception on the music. It may change people's perception on the artist, and they may think that, you know, Kanye's a jackass, and I think he kind of is. But, you know, he has his strategies. He's a billionaire for a reason, dude. I don't know.
Yeah,
He's
he
done
knows
some
how to
things
drum up
right.
conversation.
Exactly.
I don't get is like, I was that situation. It's like, I wouldn't even announce the release date or start the rollout or anything until like I knew the album was done. You know,
Yes.
like
Yes.
like the Weeknd literally sent in his verse after the original release date, which was July 23rd, my birthday. But like he sent that verse like after that, and it's like Kid Cudi, he's on the album now too. He wasn't on the album when it was supposed to come out. Like
Yeah.
it's like what the hell? Like, I mean, I love that these artists are on the album, and the song that the Weeknd is on now, like it sounds way better than the song before he was on it. But like if if you're making all these last minute changes, just wait till the album is done, man. Like and then
Yeah,
do your rollout.
exactly. It's like all these artists are texting up Kanye like, wait a minute, what? You're putting out an album?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, maybe Kanye's like, yeah, this is gonna be my last album. And they're like, no, I gotta be on this shit. And like all of his friends are texting him, it's gonna be like a 30-song album by the time
Yeah.
it comes out in a year.
So
I don't
yeah,
know.
we'll keep an eye on this. Hopefully it comes out next week. And we'll obviously do a review on it, and I'm sure that will be a fun review. Just talking about Kanye in general. But
Absolutely.
we'll keep you posted. Kanye, stop being a jackass. Drop Donda. I want
Just
to listen
drop
to it.
it.
Yeah, drop it. Damn it. But yes. Speaking of the Weeknd, we have finally entered a new era. Now we're all big Weeknd fans, so that's why we always like to talk about him when some developments happen. The album rollout for him has started, and we got a new single, "Take My Breath." So let me just share my thoughts on it real quick, and then Johnny, you go ahead. When I first heard it, I was just like, I was like, this is fine. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, he's still in his like retro bag. But then I just realized I was like, I can't get this hook out of my head. The do it now and never,
Yes, dude.
like I can't get it out of my head. And then I just realized I slowly just press the play on that press the play on that bitch again and then again and again and again. And I've played that song like probably 10 times, like since it's come out, probably more. I'm addicted to the song. I love it now. It's so well done. He's just in his bag. Every time he does this, he always just finds a way to make it a little bit different, a little bit interesting. This one is just a little bit more disco than anything he's ever done. We're entering the era of the dawn, as he's saying. Very much it seems like a sequel to After Hours, which is cool because he hasn't really done that before. And I really, really like it. I think it's a great first single. And I'm really excited to see where the album goes from here. And I guess it's super interesting as a song too, because he always finds a way to make these catchy tunes that are also dark, keeping it dark. Like the song is about a girl asking him to kill her, which is like pretty dark. But that's what makes the Weeknd the Weeknd. John, what are your thoughts about this song? And I guess I also want to ask you, where does this rank for you in terms of his first singles for each album? I can't speak for Kissland because I actually became a Weeknd fan right when Kissland dropped. But I guess looking at Often for Beauty Behind the Madness, Starboy for Starboy, obviously, Heartless for After Hours, and now Take My Breath. Where does this rank amongst those first singles?
Well, I'll start off by saying that Take My Breath is an absolute banger. I think it's going to be the blinding lights of the new album potentially, but we haven't seen what else the album has to offer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So who knows? Because Heartless was the first single for After Hours, and a lot of people think that Heartless is it was the first single, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people think that Blinding Lights is a lot better. So we'll see if there's another single that's dropped before the album. I'm sure there will be.
Yeah.
But this one is a banger. I love that it's still kind of that 80s vibe, maybe even 70s disco a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, it's it's just so much different than anything that he's put out. And
Mhm.
like at first I didn't know if I liked the hook because of the pauses, like take my breath away. Like I didn't know if I liked that big pause at first, but it's definitely grown on me. And it grew on me like by the third hook on the first listen. So
Mhm.
I like the song on my first listen. I probably heard it about 10 or 12 times now already too. And it's a banger. I'm really hyped for this album now after hearing this. If I were to rank it though, with the singles that have come out, um, I don't know. It's kind of hard to do that because they're all, The Weeknd is so good at like distinguishing each album from itself. Like each album is totally a different vibe.
Mhm.
Um, Often is actually the song that got me into The Weeknd. So that's a really special one for me. In retrospect, it's for me a mid tier Weekend song. You'd probably argue differently. I really like it, but it's probably toward the bottom. I would actually rank Starboy higher, and
How'd you rank the
Heartless
singles?
higher than that.
So
I
you,
would rank them from top to bottom. It would probably be Take My Breath at the top.
damn.
Maybe it's a recency or like I don't know if recency bias is a thing. Um, I know there's something like that. I don't think it's the right word, but I think Take My Breath would actually be at the top, and then it would be probably Heartless,
Mhm.
Starboy, and Often. I'm not even like not just because of the order of the albums, but like that's actually I think how I would rank it.
Dang. Yeah, my I'll give you my ranking because it's completely different from yours in terms of
I'm
how I
sure it
rank.
is.
Yeah. Um, and you might be a little surprised by it. So in terms of just the strength of those first singles, I'm gonna okay, so you're not gonna like this. So starting at the bottom, it's gonna be Heartless.
uh
Because Heartless is a banger. Don't get me wrong, but I know we're also in differing thoughts on this. I think it's one of the weakest songs on After Hours. I know it's one of your
no.
favorites. um, from there, I would say "Take My Breath" is after that. Keep in mind, like this criteria I'm setting, these are all good songs. Like it's not like Heartless is dookie or anything like that.
Yeah,
Heartless is still a
right.
banger. Heartless is still a great song. So Take My Breath is also a great song. So Take My Breath after that. From there, I'm gonna give it to God, why am I? Yeah, I'm gonna do yeah, Often, because Often is just I have a special place in my heart for that song. I love the Weeknd when he's in his dirty, nasty fucking bag. um, and then I'm gonna actually say the best one is Starboy. I'm gonna say,
Really?
yeah, I just think that song just sets the vibe for the album really well, and I feel like it's just so iconic, like the beat, the Daft Punk beat, like I'm a motherfucking Starboy,
That
like
that that that
that
that.
look what you
Yeah.
done. But it's actually funny how that ranking works out because Starboy the album is one of my least favorite Weekend songs. Often from Beauty Behind the Madness is my least favorite Weekend album, besides probably like My Dear Melancholy. And then it's like Heartless is at the bottom, but After Hours is one of my favorite Weekend songs. So it's kind of funny
Right.
how that works out. But I'm really excited to see how the album turns out. Um, and it's like he always does a little more of the like pop oriented singles at the beginning, and the albums can be a little more like moody and darker, which I think is a smart way to tackle things. um and I'm excited to see where his other singles go from here. I'm sure we'll get like one or two more songs before the album comes out. Because that's I think with what is it, with Beauty Beyond the Madness we got Often, Can't Feel My Face in the Hills. With Starboy we got Starboy, False Alarm, Party Monster, and I Feel It Coming all before. And then with After Hours, we got After Hours, Blinding Lights, and Heartless. So I think we'll get one or two more songs, and I'm excited to see what direction those songs might be. I guess last question for this one. When do you think the album's going to come out?
It's August 8th. I'm gonna guess probably I hope October. I would love October 8th. That would actually be fucking amazing. Like Casey's birthday.
Yeah, I knew. I was like, I know why you're saying that.
We can hope. If I were to make like a real prediction, I'm gonna say probably end of November.
Yeah,
Like November 28th or like sometime at the end of November, last weekend of November.
Yeah, I was gonna say November too. I think we'll get like maybe I'm gonna just say early November just to differentiate our answers a little bit. But yeah, I'm excited to really see where
Maybe
the weekend
11/11.
goes. Maybe it's always music always comes out on a Friday, so it's I guess I mean let me just
Is
November
11/11 a Friday?
Thursday midnight is so 11th is the Thursday, so technically that kind of counts.
Yeah.
That would be 11 o'clock for you, 9 for me. That would drop, but yeah, I'm always on. I always love the Weeknd. He's an auteur. He's an artist in the best definition possible, and I love how he always has this own identity for each album. You know, he always goes all in on the album rollout and the whole album cycle, and I think it speaks to After Hours. It feels like After Hours didn't even come out that long ago, but it's been like a year and a half, which is crazy. Right. But that's
it
the
still
Weeknd.
Feels fresh to me. Yeah, After Hours still feels like a fresh album for me.
Yeah, and I mean, like even the gap between Starboy and After Hours, like that was like 3.5 years, but like Starboy still bangs,
Yeah, it
like,
does. Yeah, it does. Dude, I just listened to All I Know the other day, and I forgot how much that song bangs. All I know, all I know, all I know.
I've had Rockin' stuck in my head recently.
Love
you
that.
Don't have to spend your life. But
we banged to that at the concert.
I know, and I'm excited for the tour. It's gonna be a double album tour. I haven't got tickets for it, but I mean, now with my job situation, who knows? Maybe I'll be buying Omaha tickets. Maybe I could go with you guys. So
yo, yeah. Dude. Let's go.
Yeah. So I'm hyped. I'm excited. Keep the Weeknd hype going. The dawn is coming.
It's coming.
Yes, and it'll be the Weeknd's fifth studio album. So I'm excited.
Yeah. I was like counting in my head. I was like, yeah, okay.
Not counting trilogy, but those are like 3 separate albums on its own. But anyways, that's the Weeknd. We love the new song, and we're all both of us are really excited. And I'm sure maybe we'll get Andrew and Parker's opinion on the song, and I think they both really like it too. So, anyways, that's the current events, and now we can finally go into the main topic of the show, and that is the Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad.
All right, so this movie is the latest entry in the DCEU, and a film universe that's had its crazy ups and downs, to say the least. It's directed by James Gunn, and who's actually the director of Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. Grabbed someone from Marvel to make a movie here, and it's not a sequel. It's kind of a sequel, kind of a reboot, kind of just like a do-over. It's called The Suicide Squad. There's Suicide Squad that came out in 2016. I guess I want to start off by asking, have you seen that original 2016 movie, John?
I have, and I want to say that I'm so glad that the Joker is not in this movie.
Yeah. I just have to say, just give quick thoughts on Suicide Squad 2016. That might be like a top 5 or top 3 in terms of like worst superhero movies I think I've ever seen.
I was afraid of what direction you were going with that.
Yeah,
no, that movie's terrible.
Yeah, that movie is so bad, and it's so weird because it's like it's not like other bad superhero movies where like you can kind of just explain how bad it is. It's almost like you have to like see it for yourself to like
it's the directing. It's really the directing. for
Yeah,
me.
yeah, and like I don't know if you know about this, John, but that movie also kind of went through a similar situation as Justice League, where the movie that was intended was like completely different from what the final film was. Have you heard about this?
Huh.
So the original movie was going to be like very dark, very serious, very somber. But then Batman vs Superman came out, bombed. So Warner Brothers like freaked out, and this was also around when Deadpool 1 came out. So, so like super goofy, super funny. So they took the company that made the trailer for the Suicide Squad film and had them re-edit and reshoot the film to make it as like goofy and wacky as they possibly could. They did a bunch of reshoots and all this shit. So the movie is really just like this complete hodgepodge of like a mess. Like, just doesn't really make any sense if you really think about it. It's just super generic, super boring. Uh, it just feels like it's
Yeah.
trying too hard. I remember that movie, like the first half of it just feels like a extended music video, like just constant like songs left and right. And if I had to give a rating on that film was probably like a 2 out of 10 or like a 3 out of 10 in my book.
I would have given it a 4, but
Uh,
that's still bad.
yeah, I saw it in
Like it's
theaters. What is it? Like I saw, what was it? I saw Batman vs Superman, thought it sucked. Went into Suicide Squad being like, no way it can be worse than that, and it was worse than that. Like,
the DC universe has not had very many ups
yeah.
in its past.
So I was like, it's terrible. I walked out of the theater like, what the fuck did I just watch? But seeing they were doing a do-over, and it's gonna have James Gunn direct it. I was interested in this movie. I was actually pretty excited, and I guess kind of let's start off with our initial thoughts of the film. I'll start off. Uh, I absolutely love this film. I thought it was, I thought it was,
Okay.
yeah, I thought it was awesome. Like, I actually I loved it from start to finish. Like, I watched it with a group of friends. It was a great group film to watch. Like, we're all like cracking up, dying, laughing throughout the film. We're all super invested in it, and it even surpassed the expectations that I had for it. And I mean, I think it's my favorite DC extended universe like film. I'm not counting, not including the Nolan films or anything like that, obviously. I'd say it's my favorite DCEU film. Which obviously isn't like the highest bar. There've been some good films like, like Wonder Woman and things like that, but I think this is my favorite DCEU film, and I absolutely loved it. Like, it's probably like I was shocked by how much I enjoyed this film. I thought it was awesome, but I don't think you're in that same total sentiment. So go ahead
Not
and share.
quite. Not
Yeah.
quite. So I did really enjoy it. But in a way, I still feel like it was kind of slapped together in some aspects. Like especially at the beginning. Like, I mean, it throws you for a loop and it was funny and cool, but like, I don't know. Like, I didn't love it. Um, it was definitely one of the better DCEU movies. Without spoiling my rating too much,
Yeah.
I still think I like Justice League better. I think it is like a really good, I think it was just a really well done superhero film. This one is definitely a totally different vibe. And it does it well. It feels a lot like a Deadpool movie, but like even crazier. But
Yeah.
in my opinion, it was a little too much. That was just me.
Yeah.
So, I'm not gonna have like a ton of, rhyme or reason to why I don't love it, besides the fact that I just thought it was a little over the top, just like the first one. And there were moments where I thought, it was a little bit slapped together, mostly at the beginning. But we'll definitely, we'll dive into it. So,
Yeah, so kind of getting right into it, like, yeah, like what you're saying, they start off by introducing us to like this essentially this B team Suicide Squad.
yeah.
And like and they're like sent on this beach assault mission. It's just a bunch of these idiots, really, like Pete Davidson and this fucking like rat dog thing. And
Yeah, Weasel.
yeah, and like I first of all, I thought like this movie's like biggest strength to me was its comedy. Like just how I thought it was fucking hilarious, and like just like right off the bat, like did anyone check to see if this fucker could swim? Like, and he just drowns right away, and then like everyone's just getting murdered. It kind of threw me for a loop though when Harley Quinn was part of the group. I was like, and everyone's getting murdered. I was like, there's no way,
Right.
like
Yeah, she's the
Harley.
B team.
Yeah, I know, right?
I was
But
like, excuse me.
but I guess they kind of, I don't know if they set the tone. It's kind of like a red herring, really, but they just kill off everyone on that beach except Rick Flag and Harley. Obviously, they survive, and they get away, but everyone just gets massacred on that beach. I thought this what was it? I need to see it. We wrote it down. The detachable kid.
The detachable kid. What a jackass.
Yeah, like just going forth and like slapping the shit out of him, and then they're shooting his arms, and he's like fucking flailing around on the ground, like
That was so dumb. That was actually hilarious.
And then Captain Boomerang, he's the like one of the characters carried over from the first film. He dies. But I guess like who gives a shit about Captain Boomerang?
Yeah.
And then it cuts over to the A team, and we see the replacement to essentially Deadshot from the first film, Bloodsport, and like his squad rolling up, and they're like the real team. And then this movie does this a lot, where it kind of cuts back and forth between what's happening and what happened before and things like that. That's actually one of my complaints about the movie. I feel like
Same.
it kind of like throws you out of the moment for a little bit. At the first time it does this, it's fine, I thought, but it does it again in the last act of the film, and I thought it didn't work at all when it did that.
Yeah.
But I guess kind of looking at I guess I want to ask you, like, what do you think of some of the main team? Like, I guess fuck the the guys at the beginning, they kind of get knocked out right away, but
yeah,
like looking at like let's just run down the entourage of people. We have Idris Elba as Bloodsport, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. Obviously, we have Viola Davis as Amanda Waller. She's kind of the woman in the chair talking to them. We have Sylvester Stallone as King Shark. We have Joel Kinnaman as Colonel Rick Flag. We have John Cena as Peacemaker. Or is it Peacemaker or is it Peacekeeper? I feel like
Peacemaker.
Peacemaker? Okay, cool. Daniela Melchior, I don't know if I'm butchering that name, as Ratcatcher 2. And then we have later on Peter Capaldi as the Thinker. And then I'm going to totally fuck up this, but David Dast Malchian as Polka Dot Man. So that's kind of like the main crew that you have there. What are your, John, I just want to ask you, like, I guess, what are your thoughts on those characters, the positives and the negatives and everything in between?
Well, going into the movie, to be honest, I'm not, as familiar with all of the DC cast of characters. So a lot of these I had never heard of.
Well, to be fair, like these are like I think I saw James Gunn say like he intentionally chose like completely obscure like F tier villains, besides like Harley Quinn, obviously, but like these are supposed to be like no names essentially.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Well, I kind of like that then.
Yeah.
So Bloodsport I thought was badass. I really dug the scene in the beginning with his daughter. I thought that was really actually like great acting. And it threw me for a loop too, because I was like, okay, I've seen the first Suicide Squad. Like this is definitely different. Like the acting is really good. I mean, it's Idris Elba. He's a great actor. Margot Robbie is Harley Quinn. Incredible. I would argue that Harley Quinn is easily the most badass character in the entire film.
She probably has the
King
best scene in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
dude. King Shark is like probably my second favorite. Harley Quinn's
so
at the
cute.
top.
He's cute.
He's so cute. Yeah. And I forgot it was Sylvester Stallone until we started talking about it this morning. Colonel Rick Flag, he was okay. I mean, like he had a pretty big part in the film. But I thought he was like kind of boring.
Yeah.
John Cena, I
Yeah.
love John Cena as Peacemaker. And honestly, like most of the moments that I did laugh in the movie, and this was kind of one of my complaints, actually, is that I didn't think it was hilarious. Like, and
Really?
maybe it's
Damn.
just my sense of humor. It's probably just my sense of humor because
Yeah.
Casey was getting a huge kick out of it. She loved it.
Yeah.
But I just was like, I didn't laugh too much except for the parts with Peacemaker. Like John Cena was hilarious. Like he played Peacemaker perfectly. And like I feel like it's John Cena. Like Peacemaker is John Cena. Um Ratcatcher 2, I thought was a very interesting character. Like the whole rat thing, I thought was really cool, and the visual effects that they pulled off with the Ratcatcher was crazy.
The little rat buddy was
Uh,
also adorable.
right, right.
Yeah.
It reminded me of Scabbers from Harry Potter, like Ron's rat.
Yeah.
uh, Thinker was weird. He literally reminded me of like an Austin Powers like villain. He was just he just looked weird, bizarre, like some Megamind looking ass with a bunch of neurological things hooked up to his head. Uh, but he was an interesting character. I thought they could have fleshed him out a little more.
Yeah.
But he was interesting. And then Polka Dot Man, the same actor that Harvey Dent, interrogated into Dark Knight. That's immediately how I recognized him. But Polka Dot Man was super interesting too, because like his power is shooting polka dots. So like you're kind of left wondering at first what that means, and then you see, his power develop. Like not really develop, like he had the power, but he turns into like this big weird creature with a bunch of polka dots on him, and he said that like, if I don't let it out every so often, like the polka dots will eat me alive or something. And it's just it just
Fucking
really
ridiculous.
yeah, and especially Polka Dot Man, it just highlights how ridiculous this movie is. But there are moments where like I feel like it's trying to take itself seriously, and it just really doesn't because of the whole vibe.
Yeah.
But overall, like the cast of characters, even the idiots at the beginning, like Pete Davidson, that made me laugh when he got his head blown off. Weasel was hilarious, and he may appear at the end of the film. I don't know. We'll get into it.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. But no, I thought the cast of characters was great. I do think it's really funny after you told me that James Gunn tried to find like no name characters.
Yeah.
I think that's hilarious because I didn't recognize any of them. But yeah, who were your favorite characters, Ursel?
Yeah. I guess I was about to ask you the same. I don't know if you want to answer that first. Your favorite? Who's your favorite out of that main crew and your least favorite?
Harley Quinn is my favorite, just because she's incredible. Margot Robbie's a great actress, and she does such a great job as Harley Quinn, and she's badass as hell in this movie. Like you said, I think she has the best scenes in the entire movie. But King Shark is a close second just because he's so damn cute, and he's also super badass.
Yeah. So for me,
my least favorite.
Yeah, least favorite. Sorry.
No, I forgot for a second. Least favorite is probably Thinker, just because he's not like they didn't really do much with him. I thought he could have been more fleshed out, but he seemed like an afterthought to me.
Yeah.
But what about you?
So I guess kind of giving my thoughts on all the characters. Sorry, I was just picking some fucking a broken toothpick up off the ground. So I love Bloodsport, like Idris Elba, like he's a badass. Like I love his helmet too, like with the little teeth at the bottom, and like it's I love I just love Idris Elba as an actor too. He's fantastic. Amanda Waller, I feel like as Viola Davis, she has a lot more to work with in this film compared to the first film. She has a lot better scenes, a lot more interesting shit going on her end. Um, King Shark, that was like the biggest surprise. Like he was awesome. He really was like felt like he was like the group character, of the
Yeah,
movie.
absolutely.
He's also like adorable, even though he's this like fucking man-eating shark. What is it? Joel
He's just
Kinnaman.
misunderstood.
Yeah, for real. And he has also some of the funniest lines in the film. Like he's trying to use that fake mustache, and then they're like, "No, everyone's gonna know it's you," and he's just like, "Fuck."
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then also that scene where they're all in the club, and then it cuts to him just sitting in the car, like crying.
Yeah, dude.
But he's amazing. Sylvester Stallone did a fantastic job. My least favorite is probably gonna be Colonel Rick Flag, just because he's kind of just a gung ho, like regular American dude. But I thought he was better in this film than he was in the first film. John Cena, also big surprise, like perfect casting. Like holy shit, like John Cena.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, John Cena was amazing in this film as Peacemaker. The like back and forth that him and Bloodsport have, like it's constantly funny. Like the like I love peace. Like I would kill any man, woman, child to get it. Like there's a bag of like 100 dicks on this beach, I would eat every one of them. Like
Yeah, literally.
and that kind of scene in like in a little bit later where him and Bloodsport are kind of trying to one up each other while they're killing everyone in the camp. I also thought was hilarious. And it's just like no one likes to show off unless what they're showing off is fucking dope as shit or whatever.
Right.
Like,
And then weren't they
Bloodsport
not supposed to kill any of those guys?
yeah, that's the other. That's just like
That was
like
the funniest part of the movie for me.
they're all good guys that they fucking killed.
It's such a badass scene. They're like killing all these good guys, and then they get up to like the tent, and they're like, "Oh, those were the good guys."
Yeah, we didn't see anybody.
It's so dumb.
I know. Daniela Melchior as Ratcatcher 2. I thought she was fine. I personally didn't love the actress's acting the most. I thought it was a little I'm trying to figure out what the right word for it is. A little too lovey-dovey. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, like at the beginning with King Shark. She was like,
yeah,
"Hey,
we're
I'll
friends."
be your friend.
Yeah. But I think she was like her and Harley Quinn. I felt like were like kind of the heart of the film. And then from there, yeah, Peter Capaldi as the Thinker. He's not really even a main part of the crew. I liked his performance. He's actually Doctor Who. He's one of the Doctor Who's. So it's cool seeing him in this. But yeah, he doesn't get fleshed out too much, but he's really more of a villain role in the film. And then Mr. Mr. Getting Fucked by Harvey Dent. He as Polka Dot Man. He was also like someone that was like super funny. With like how he just pictures everyone as his fucking mom. Like
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But and I thought like he was also like that. I think that's like one of the biggest strengths of this film is like taking these characters that you have like no like previous knowledge about and like making them someone that you can sympathize with, someone that you think the people that you think are funny, people that you're rooting for, which is really good. I think a good accomplishment for these bottom of the barrel like fucking characters. And yeah, my favorite, God, they're all, in my opinion, I love so many of these guys. My favorite would probably be, honestly, I feel like I have to say Bloodsport. I don't know if that's like kind of just generic, but I loved like how Idris Elba is just constantly just fucking like Bloodsport is just constantly fucking pissed off in terms of like you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like, are you kidding? This is so stupid.
He's so mad.
Yeah. He's just like, this is just bullshit. This
He's
whole
like,
thing.
why am I doing this?
Yeah. And like just throughout the whole time, he's just like confused or fucking annoyed at everybody in the film. And I just loved seeing Idris Elba in this like more comedic role. least favorite, like I said before, it's got to be Colonel Rick Flag, because he's just kind of there, in my opinion. He doesn't add that much to the story, but I guess yeah, like getting the characters out of the way. The whole story is about them really going through this foreign country to shut down this government program called Project Starfish. And
Starfish,
yeah,
Starro the Conqueror.
yeah. And it's literally because it's about a giant fucking extraterrestrial starfish. You know, as as John Cena says, as innuendo for butthole. I think it has any has any
It
connection.
reminded me it reminded me of the SpongeBob movie. Literally, like all hail plankton.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, like literally how they're like getting like controlled by
The mini
like yeah,
starfish.
yeah. But I guess I feel like the plot, like the overall plot, is probably the least important part when we're talking about this film. I
Yeah.
guess what do you think of like how they utilized the R rating? Because I feel like they took that R rating and they went they went 0 to 100 with it. Like this movie is gory, this movie is crude, like there
Yeah.
are plenty of fucks thrown around in
There's
there.
a
Like
dick in the
yeah,
movie.
like what do you think of like how they utilize the R rating, especially in like a DC film?
I thought it was very surprising. And it was it was weirdly refreshing, but also like I said at the beginning, it was a little too much for me. Like some of the gore, like I mean, this is a fault of my own. I was eating while I was watching it, like meat, and I think it was like I don't remember what I was eating, like a steak rice bowl or something, and I was like seeing heads blow up and like it's really detailed. Like it was directed super well. Like to
Yeah,
see
yeah,
James Gunn go from Guardians of the Galaxy to that,
yeah.
like it would be crazy to see that level of like um crudeness in a Marvel film, because even Deadpool does not, it doesn't get there. um but I thought it was crazy. Like it was really fun to watch. Like I said, the gore was a little bit too much, probably a fault of my own for eating while I was watching it. uh but the jokes and the F bombs, the expletives, they were all fantastic. I don't think it was overused. Like they weren't going for the most F bombs in a movie or anything like that, like
Yeah.
Wolf of Wall Street. Like it was it was tasteful as it could be. Like it
Mhm.
made sense. I thought it added to the story, and in a way that like the first film with the PG-13 rating couldn't do. They were limited by the rating to what they could do with it. But this one I thought was it was funny. But again, like for me, that kind of brings up a little bit of my gripes with a film is I didn't think it was as hilarious as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Um, Even though John Cena made me laugh quite a bit, and the King Shark as well. But it was also like a little bit too gory for my taste. I think most people would like it.
Yeah.
But what did you think about the how they utilized the R rating with this? Did you
Yeah.
want did you want more boobies?
Well,
Just kidding, just kidding.
yeah. Well, like, what is it? I like that they didn't over sexualize like Harley Quinn like they did in like
Yeah,
Suicide
that yeah.
Squad. I thought the one time that like tits were just. Do you remember that shot of the secretary walking into the room and her like tits were like bouncing up and down like
Oh yeah, that was
obnoxiously?
so stupid.
Yeah, like that's like
Casey
the
pointed that out.
yeah
She's like, "Did you see that?" I was like,
yeah.
"Yeah," because it was the only thing in the camera. It was just like boobs bouncing.
Like I felt like everything was very fine tuned in the sense of like all that felt very intentional. I felt like I felt like it hit for me. It hit all the notes that it was trying to hit throughout the film because I felt like the whole concept is just so fucking absurd. Like they're sending these like absolutely ragtag, like just bottom of the barrel villains on this like government mission. And it's just like, they're taking the absurdity of the whole idea and like really taking it to 11 and just like, like here's free reign. Like, and it's just absolutely absurd. And throughout the whole film, you're right. It's just absolutely over the top. And I felt like it never lets up on that. Like, and they just keep one upping themselves with how ridiculous it gets. And I was bought in for it. I could totally see how like maybe like some people might not be. But I was totally like tuned in for it. It felt like a lot of the comedy and a lot of the scenes really hit for me. And I loved the R rating. I felt like they went R and they went hard R with it. Like
They did all they could with that R rating.
yeah, but like going into the story, just walking through it, they get to, they go through the camp, to kill those people. John Cena is like hilarious, like we said. And then from there, also one thing I want to say I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but I love the like chapter cards throughout the movie. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah, like I thought those were always like put in really creative ways and like really cool ways. Like they always kind of blended it into the environment, the scenery. I really like that one where it was like Project Jotunheim. Wait, we got to do something else. Project Harley.
Yeah.
And I thought those were all super cool. Like, and there's just a lot, like this movie has like an identity, which I really like. It has a style to it. Like the like freeze frame whenever like when the Star of the Conqueror is there and it just like freezes and it's just like Suicide Squad versus Star of the Conqueror. I was just
yeah.
like to me, like it really reminded me of like almost like a Tarantino film, like with just how stylish it is, like a lot of the humor and things like that.
So kind of reminded me of Scott Pilgrim versus the World a slight bit too, if you've seen that.
I haven't, but I want to because I've heard a lot.
It's about so good.
Things. Yeah, I want to see it. But from there, we're also seeing like Harley's kind of situation, which it's the fucking dictator is like trying to make love to her, be her husband, and I like that she kind of does a callback to her toxic relationships in the past and just kills him right on the spot. Right. I think Harley has like, yeah, that was a really good scene. And then also like going on with Harley, like we were saying, the best scene in the film, like where she's breaking out of that prison, like that was just super badass. Like
that was insane.
We get to see like why Harley is involved in these missions because she's a great fighter and a great like shooter, and that whole scene is just badass. Like I loved just seeing that play out. I'm guessing that's what you're all saying.
Flowers exploding behind her.
Yeah, exactly. I'm guessing that's also what
it was visually beautiful.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's what you probably agree that was probably like the best scene.
Absolutely, yeah. It was like the beginning of the final act, I guess, kind of.
Yeah, kind of leading into it. And I thought that was super well done. What do you think about I guess that like Harley stuff? Because I thought it was super cool, and I thought it like was good at acknowledging that like she's kind of been a damsel in distress in the past, but now she's like really taking her initiative, and I really love what they did with Harley in this film.
I just thought they really highlighted how badass she is, because ever since the first Suicide Squad came out, you go into any store in the mall, there's Harley Quinn t-shirts. Like people are obsessed with her as a character. People are obsessed with Margot Robbie because she's an amazing actress, and yeah, that too. And she kills it. She fucking kills it in this movie. And the scenes with her are just like, I feel like they give Harley Quinn an identity really well in the DC EU. So like, I hope if they do future films, I hope that James Gunn directs them. I hope that, Margot Robbie's in them. I hope that Harley Quinn is in them. But the scene with her breaking out of the prison was easily the best scene in the film for me. Like, she has, it's visually beautiful. Like I said, she's got flowers exploding behind her, like while she's shooting people in the head. It's like a good mix of slow motion and, speeding it up a little bit. Like, there's a scene, my favorite part of it, she has like two handguns and she's spinning around and like people are just dropping like flies around her. Dude, it was and then like right after, it's hilarious because she exits the prison and she sees Colonel Rick Flag, I think, first, or maybe Bloodsport. But they're like climbing up the building, like getting ready to do this elaborate mission to rescue her. And she gets out and she's like, "Oh, what are you guys doing?" And they're like, "We came here to rescue you." And she's like, "Oh, well, I can just go back in there. I'm sorry." Like,
yeah,
she's just so funny. Yeah, she's a sweet, like, for it, when it really comes down to it, she's just a sweet girl, but like obviously brought up into terrible shit and turned into a murderer. But she's a great character, and I love her, and I want her to have a standalone, like a good standalone movie.
Do you ever see Birds of Prey? I never saw that. I guess that was for standalone film.
I did. It was okay. Like, she had a better performance in this movie than that entire film.
Yeah, I heard mixed opinions about Birds of Prey.
It was okay.
Yeah, I probably
like
won't.
5 out of 10.
Damn. Yeah, I probably won't watch it then.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think. So and then also the team, they go over to that that like kind of that bar / club scene. It was funny just watching them all dance and like kind of had that moment of camaraderie. Like I said, I thought it was like King Shark is just so adorable in this film, and that shot of him just sitting in the car, like,
oh
yeah, so I was like, I know, I was like, poor guy, like he just wants to hang out with everyone. It's like, just let him hang out.
Just let him hang out. Maybe he'll eat someone. It's okay.
Yeah, and then from there, like, I know we're kind of like brushing over the plot, but it's really more about the characters. But then, obviously they kind of go into attacking Jotunheim, and this is kind of where I was talking about earlier with like the structure of like kind of jumping back and forth. Like, this is where it didn't work that well for me. My biggest con of the film. So they go in, attack that Jotunheim base. I love the shot of them stepping out into the rain, and they're all like, it's like all rainy and white, and that you just see like all 8 of them or whatever like walking in the rain together. That was like a like iconic shot of the movie, I feel like.
I think I literally said when that happened, like, that would be a good movie poster shot.
Yeah, and I think it is a movie poster. Like, I think they used that once, like that they've used that as a movie poster.
I could see it.
What is it? So also, like, going into the scene, I thought it was hilarious, like how the bus driver comes with them and they make a joke out of that. Like, wait, this guy was with us the whole time.
Oh, yeah. He dies, doesn't he?
Yeah, like, it's like, why was he? It's like, oh,
and he saved everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. He's just helping us out. Like, the poor guy just got killed out of nowhere. Man. But this is where, like, so they split up, and half of them go down into the basement, and half of them go up to set up the charges. But the movie structurally focuses on the first group downstairs, and shit happens down there, and then it cuts back 8 minutes to show what happened upstairs. And I thought that was really jarring, and it kind of threw me off.
Yeah.
I almost feel like, in terms of editing, it would have worked better if they just had those scenes going side by side. I felt like it could have raised the tension and the stakes if those things were all happening simultaneously. Just kind of like going back to how they've done that at previous DC films. Like, I don't know if I've ever talked to you about this, Sean, but one of Nolan's like trademarks at this point is really like being able to create these really high tension scenes where 2 different like events are occurring, and it's like going back and forth between them, and that doing that technique. And it's like a trademark Nolan technique now, like, of like building the stakes up that way, like Dark Knight, like when Batman is going to save I was about to say Harley, Rachel, and then like Joker's in the prison, or like in Inception when like they're cutting back between all 3 of the dream stages. Like, Nolan is a master at like jumping between like 2 different things and syncing them up. And I would have loved to have seen something like that happen in that scene, because I felt like it was a little jarring. I don't know if you felt the same way, but
I thought so. Yeah, that was one of my biggest complaints of the movie. and the beginning of it, and that was just like, it felt like it could have been directed differently. Like
Yeah.
they almost could have, like, with the, because it had that comic book style, you almost could have like done one of those, like, you know, move over, like cut in a
Yeah.
diagonal direction the screen, and you have both scenes going on, and then it like moves over to one, focuses on one, does both, goes back to the other. Like, dude, they could have done a lot with that. But yeah, when it cut back 8 minutes, it was just like, okay, I gotta watch 8 more minutes to know what like happens next.
Because like when they're down there, the explosives go off early, and I'm like, did I miss something? Like when they first show
Right.
that? Yeah, I'm like, wait,
I
what?
I,
What just
I thought
happened?
the same thing.
And I didn't realize for a second that like only half of them were down there as well. So I was just like, oh wait, like where's everyone else? Like, and then I was like, oh fuck, they're upstairs. Um, and then they kind of do like a little like reveal, I guess. It's not, I don't know if I would call it a twist, but like that, oh, they're actually there to just like burn the evidence and get rid of evidence of like America's involvement in this.
Involvement. Yeah.
And I think I almost feel like this was like commentary on like in general, like American interventionism, just how the US tends to get involved in these things in some way, you know, in these other countries, and then tries to covertly or non-covertly clean up their mess and usually create a bigger mess to begin with.
Exactly.
um, like I don't know if you noticed that. I kind of caught that. Like I felt like it was commentary on that.
I didn't think about it like that, but I think you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, it
But
seems pretty obvious now that you say it.
yeah. But yeah, and then we find out that Amanda Waller, like she had Peacemaker be kind of like a backup, like give me the drive, all that. To be honest, like I wasn't like that invested in like what happened with the data or not, more as I was kind of more invested in the like characters getting out of that situation live. Um, and then we kind of shit hits the fan and the explosives go off early and everyone gets split up and we get a little fight between Rick Flag and Peacemaker. And I really like that shot of like for a little bit where they're fighting and you just see the fight happening through Peacemaker's like helmet,
Yeah,
like
that
the
was
reflect.
sick.
Yeah, that was a really cool shot. Now, this is I'm not going to knock this against the movie. I'm not going to say this is a complaint, but for me personally, this was an issue. Um, I had no tension in that fight between Peacemaker and Rick Flag because I knew Peacemaker was going to live. How do I know that? Because before this fucking movie came out, they announced that there's going to be a Peacemaker TV show on HBO Max. So
Wow.
so
Okay.
so I was like, well, he's gonna have to live through this. I feel like he's like they're gonna make a TV show on him. So yeah, lo and behold, he beats Rick Flag. And then
I had no idea.
yeah, so and then he catches up to Ratcatcher 2 as the data disk. And then there you go, it cuts back 8 minutes prior. And you catch the people upstairs. Another great King Shark moment with the little jellyfish things. Like
Yeah.
it's just wholesome, you know, it's just cute. And then we see the shit going on at the top and how the explosives went off early. I actually thought that I thought multiple times near the end. I don't know about you that King Shark was gonna die. Um,
Yeah, when he kept getting shot up and
yeah, like this dude. First of all, I thought he was gonna die when he started getting bit by all those jellyfish because like a bunch of
right.
blood was coming out, and then he flies out from the top of the building and lands at the bottom, still alive. I thought he died during that, and then he's still alive, and I was like, oh shit. And then he starts getting shot up by like everybody, and then he still lives, and I was like,
This dude's unstoppable.
yeah, I was like, he's. I mean, she said it at the beginning of the movie. He's the strongest member of the team. Like, it's
And it
insane.
shows, yeah.
The one part I thought that was kind of over the top and ridiculous was uh, a little too much, probably in the whole movie. This is the one scene I was like a little too much. Was like when the building comes apart and Bloodsport like falls down and then keeps falling and keeps falling through the stages.
Oh
Through
yeah.
the, I thought that was a little obnoxious. Someone I was watching with kind of made a joke that it was like Hexagon in Fall Guys, like you
Oh
just keep.
yeah.
But And then from there we see, you know, the big Star the Conqueror. He's he's showing up and destroying shit. But I guess, did you have any thoughts on anything I've kind of mentioned so far?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the fight between Colonel Rick Flag and John Cena as Peacemaker was really cool. Like the helmet shot was the coolest thing. Like for me, it almost felt like it had that shot specifically had the style of like the Justice League, the new Justice League that came out. That's what I thought of. But besides that, not really too much. I mean, yeah, like I said, the 8-minute cutback was kind of jarring, and that was a complaint for me. But Starro the Conqueror, he finally bursts out.
Yeah, and then we get that. That was kind of my probably my favorite one, just because it was just so, like, I don't know, I thought it was kind of funny, like when it just freeze framed and it just like Suicide Squad versus Starro. But yeah, like we see that, you know, we get that big explosive finale. You know, once it kind of hit me then and there too, and they're all on the ground, I was like, oh, okay, now I know what she's going to use the staff for. Because, you know, the whole movie, they're like, what was she going to use the staff for? Obviously he's gonna poke him in the eye. That big, yeah, a little poke. And we see that big epic finale. Everyone, I feel like, had a standout moment, which was really awesome in that fight.
Yeah.
I thought it was badass that those workers knocked out Amanda Waller. Like, okay, yeah, shut up, shut up, bitch.
Yeah.
Like,
because she was starting to get annoying at that point.
Yeah, like, turn around. But
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
I was almost like ready for them to just die, like all of them just get their head blown off and the movie ends or something like that.
I thought that's what was gonna happen.
Yeah, and I thought it was awesome how everyone had their standout moment. Like Ratcatcher had all those rats, Harley Quinn, like, you know, attacking Starro. Harley Quinn, you know, had her moment with the spear. Bloodsport, he took the leadership, he was commanding everyone, and he was kind of having that shootout in the street. And then, you know, we get Polka Dot Man's final stand. You know, he shoots the leg off of his mom, and he's like, I'm a superhero, and then gets killed, which was a shame. And then what is it? Yeah, and then we kind of get near the end of the movie, and, you know, I was ready for any one of them to die. I'm surprised it didn't. And I actually thought it was kind of sad when Starro died, because he was just like it felt like he was really the victim at the end of the day, because he was just like, I was like, his last line was like, I had my peace, or I had my enjoyment, like I felt good, like just being amongst the stars, you know. And it's kind of like, well, we kind of fucked it up for him.
Yeah, but the movie didn't. It was so like over the top that I didn't have any feelings toward that. Like any of the characters, really. I was ready for any of them to die at any moment. The only one I would have been really sad about would have been King Shark.
Yeah, I was like, please don't kill off King Shark, man. And I thought he was gonna die multiple times, but he didn't. And actually, I guess that was one thing I was surprised about, was like, I was surprised about how many people didn't die. I don't know if you were surprised by that, because they killed off so many of them at the beginning, and like before the movie, like James Gunn was like, yeah, DC told me if I want, I can kill anybody I want in this film. I could kill everyone if I want. And it's like, I was like, oh shit, like, is he gonna do that? And it's like, I mean, once you have the main crew, I mean, I guess like half of them die, but the ones that die, I feel like you would kind of have expected to die, if you know what I mean. Like exactly. Rick Flag, whatever, like he died.
He's kind of a mad character.
Yeah, Thinker, expected. Who else? Were those the only two? Man. Who? Yeah. Shit. Yeah, Polka Dot Man. But he got his little final epic moment before he died. Right. But like the main, like Bloodsport, Harley, I guess King Shark too, like, and Ratcatcher, like the ones that they really focused on, they all lived, which I was actually surprised about. So I don't know. Were you surprised that they didn't kill off more characters? Do you think it was just right? Or
I'm surprised that Weasel came back, but in a way, not really. At the end, in the end credits.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised that they didn't, like, I thought Peacemaker would die just because of like the direction they were going with him kind of being like sort of a villain at the end.
I did like that callback to how they were like arguing at the camp when they're killing people, like small bullets versus big bullets, and then how
Oh
Bloodsport's
yeah.
small bullet went through his big bullet, and I thought it killed him. So when I thought it killed him, I was like, huh, well, I guess the Peacemaker show is going to be a prequel, but obviously post credit. Did you see the post credit scene?
Yeah, yeah. He
Okay,
was
so
in it.
yeah, okay, cool. So yeah, then we obviously know he lives. But yeah,
Right.
and then yeah, but keep going on. Sorry, I kind of cut you off.
Well, no, I was gonna say, I honestly, I thought that like Harley Quinn would be the only one to live. Like they would go that direction with it.
Yeah, yeah,
But
same. But
because Harley Quinn never dies. She just
yeah,
won't die.
and also she's like the one that has the most relevancy and value outside of sorry,
These
outside
films.
of yeah, outside of these films, like the one that would show up in other ones. Um, but yeah, and then we pretty much like wrap up the movie. We get two post-credit scenes, one with Weasel, was that his name?
Weasel, yeah.
Yeah, he lives, which is kind of just a funny callback that he lived. And then we also find out that Peacemaker lived, which yeah, we'll get a TV show on him. And I guess what are your thoughts on that? I guess getting a Peacemaker TV show.
I had no idea until you mentioned it on the pod. Um, I don't know. Like, is it John Cena though?
Yeah, it's gonna be John Cena.
Oh, I might have to watch it. Dude, I might have to watch it. I don't know what direction they'd go with it. Like, is he gonna be, because if it's post Suicide Squad, maybe, he'll be like a good guy superhero, but like he's not, because he said he'll kill any woman, child.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think it could be funny because John
yeah.
Cena is Peacemaker. Like Peacemaker is the perfect character for John Cena, and he does it so well. So I'll
It's just
watch
like
it. I'll watch it for sure, but like I have no idea what direction they're going to go with it. And before this movie, I wasn't super interested in Peacemaker as a character. I'm still really not. I just think John Cena is hilarious and does a great
mhm.
job as him.
Yeah, and I felt like he was perfect casting because you're like going into a movie like, oh, fucking John Cena, like you're gonna expect to be a little goofy, and he like
Right.
just completely owns that role because Peacemaker is just a goofball that doesn't realize he's a goofball, like
Yeah. He's so perfect as Peacemaker. It's ridiculous.
so like I'm excited for the show. It's gonna be an HBO Max show, so gotta keep. I mean, obviously HBO Max has done a good job of me keeping that subscription with all these movies coming day one
They
through
have been,
streaming.
dude. I
Um,
I thought HBO Max was going to be one of the first streaming services to go if we needed to drop one, but nope, we're keeping it.
Yeah, they have a fantastic selection. But I guess kind of wrapping things up, um, what was your favorite scene? What was your least favorite scene?
Favorite scene was definitely the scene with Harley Quinn. Like I said, the directing during that, the bursts of flowers and all the color in a movie that the only color is really red from blood. Like that was really cool. That was a refreshing scene, and like it felt like Harley Quinn even more so than her singular movie. Like she really got a nice spotlight. Um, it was badass. Her spinning around, shooting, you know, hordes of guards. Least favorite was probably the entire beginning scene where like it was funny, but that was all that it was for me. Like with Pete Davidson and Weasel and the detachable kid, like that shit was hilarious, but like it legitimately added like nothing to the movie. It it,
Yeah.
it really just set the tone. I mean, it set the tone, but they didn't even need it in there.
Mhm.
Like I feel like they had, and they advertised the movie, I feel like, with Pete Davidson a lot. So I don't know why they felt the need to do that. Because he dies in the first 5 minutes. But yeah, the entire like first 10 minutes I thought was meh.
Mhm.
It was probably my least favorite, but like for me, that's not saying a whole lot because despite what you might think, I actually think this is a really good movie. Um, like despite what you may think about like the impressions I've given,
Well,
like
what's your? I guess I was gonna ask one more question. I forgot to add that. What's your funniest scene in the movie?
funniest scene. Oh shoot. Um, it it sounds tacky to say because it was in the trailer. I think it was in the trailer, but when John Cena was like, I would do anything, anything at all to keep the peace. I would kill every man, woman, child. It doesn't matter. I would, if this beach was filled with 1,000 dicks, I'd eat all of them to keep the peace. Like that in it, and I think that was in the trailer, but there's a reason they put it in the trailer. Like I think
Mhm.
that was one of the funniest. Like I don't think there were scenes necessarily that were like super hilarious. It was like the dialogue
Lines.
between the
Yeah.
characters for sure. But what
Yeah.
were your favorite, least favorite, and funniest scene?
Yeah. Favorite scene, definitely the Harley Quinn scene, same as you. Least favorite scene, like I said, it's probably that like time in Jotunheim facility. Like that whole cutting back and forth, that whole this section, I just it felt a little sloppy. But like kind of a nitpick personally to me. And then funniest scene, I gotta say, is like the mustache scene with King Shark and just him getting pissed off and just screaming "fuck!" Like I thought that got like a really good laugh out of me. But yeah, I guess in terms of like final thoughts, we can kind of go ahead and wrap it up.
Sure.
I absolutely loved this film. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it hit all the notes that it was trying to hit. I loved how stylish it was. It felt like it really had its own identity. Um, I thought it was hilarious. I honestly thought like when they tried to bring heart and character to the film, it worked for the most part. Besides stuff with the Ratcatcher, it felt a little too corny sometimes. But um, for the most part, I thought this was a fantastic time. I thought it was a great watch. Like I'd love to rewatch it again soon. Um, it's like I said, it's probably my favorite DC EU film, not DC film. That's the Nolan trilogy for me. But probably my favorite DC EU film. Um, in terms of like the future, I'd love to see another Suicide Squad in the vein of this film. James Gunn, keep making these kinds of movies. I think they've already hinted he'll do more DC projects. So it's kind of jumping back and forth between Marvel and DC now, but good for him. He's a great director because this movie is also technically, on a technical level, very, very well made.
Yeah,
Um,
the
I don't
effects
know.
are insane.
And the effects are amazing. Like King Shark's visuals, fantastic. Like the CG on him. I absolutely love this film. My only complaints really are I thought Ratcatcher was a little corny at times, and I thought that little cutting back and forth didn't work at one certain instance. But otherwise, I love this film and film Jesus. And I would honestly go as far to say it might be my favorite film of the year, which I know isn't saying that much because I mean there hasn't been that many movies coming out this year, but I absolutely loved it. Like I honestly thought it was better than might be better than Guardians of the Galaxy for me. I love this film.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. I really
Dang. I thought it was gonna be the nine.
so
That's really good.
what about you, John? Let's hear it.
So I mean I love that it was totally different than any other superhero film. Um like I said, I felt like it was a little over the place, like a little all over the place. Like at the beginning, and you know, with the cutting back 8 minutes, that was really for me a little bit more jarring than maybe it should have been. Um, like I said, I think it wasn't as funny for me personally. I hate to say it. I wanted to laugh. Like I was in the mood. I was going into it with a good attitude, like ready to laugh my ass off, and it didn't all hit for me. Um, and there were moments where I thought that the gore was a little bit too much, but that's just again, that's just a gripe from me personally. Like I'm not gonna say that the gore is lowering my score at all.
Yeah.
Like that's just a personal thing. Um, it definitely started off with a bang. Um, like except I thought that you know the beginning scene was a little funky. Like it didn't need to exist, but the detachable kid made it for me. Like it was just hilarious and weasel. Um, I thought the villain Starro was I don't know. I, like he had a little bit more depth to him, I guess, because all of the like government stuff, like that kind of gave Starro depth. But for me, he was kind of a boring villain. I think the only CGI that wasn't well done was Starro, because I thought like he looked just really
Goofy.
wonky, funky.
Yeah.
But all in all, I thought it was a really well put together film. It was directed really well. We didn't really touch on it, but I like the music selection.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I thought the music selection was really good. The characters were amazing. Their interactions were great. Like you said, Ratcatcher was okay, but I thought her power was really cool. So it
Mhm.
kind of made up for her a little bit poor dialogue. I thought she was probably the one of the weakest characters along with Thinker. Um, but overall, it was a really, really good movie, and I'm definitely gonna watch it again. I definitely want to see a sequel. Um, Definitely directed by James Gunn. I don't think they need to hand this off to anyone else to do a reboot. Like, I think there needs to be a direct sequel to this, if anything. DC's got to stop with the reboot shit. Like, I want a real universe with sequels and stuff that connects. But
Yeah.
I don't think it might not be DC's style. They might not be trying to do that just because of, what Marvel's done and they want to differentiate themselves. But I'd love to see a sequel. I want to see these characters fleshed out more. You said there's going to be a Peacemaker show. So that'll be interesting to see what direction they take with that. Um, but overall, keeping it to, this film, I think it was really good. My final score is going to be an 8 out of 10.
That's still
Solid
good.
8 out of
Yeah.
10. Yeah.
Yeah.
If anything, I would have given it like an 8.2, but I wouldn't bump it up to an 8.5 for our rating.
Yeah.
It'd go down to an 8, but I thought it was really good. I mean, I didn't love it, but I really liked it.
I gotta say it's probably like the largest quality jump between a first and second movie if you count these like count this film as the second film, which I almost feel like it's not, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Like
So
I
yeah,
thought
go ahead.
that I thought Justice League for me was a better DC universe film or DC film in general. I think that film was so well done. I know you don't feel as much the same, but
Yeah.
um I think it's probably the second best DC film that's out. Obviously not including the Nolan uh Batmans, but
But yeah, so that puts us to overall score of 8.5. Pretty good, I would say, especially considering our average score, probably the first one is like a 3. But that is all. Thank you for tuning in to this two-man show episode of the Controller Cast. Doesn't mean we kept it short.
It
But
doesn't. It never
yeah,
does.
yeah.
Less people does not mean shorter. If anything, it could be longer.
Yeah, I know. Well, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate everyone tuning in and taking time out of their busy day or, on their commute or whatever it may be, hearing us out, hearing our opinions and on anything going on really in the world. And, I hope this is maybe a little positive mark on your day whenever you listen to it. So thank you for tuning in. We'll keep bringing it weekly, even if maybe we're going to try to keep, my hope is we can keep doing this weekly. Um, and even if not all four of us are on it, we can still do it with maybe like two of us. Because every time we kind of get the ball rolling and, we gain some momentum, I feel like we go on vacation or something.
Right, exactly.
So I want to keep the ball rolling on that. I want to keep the weekly output going. It might be a little more sparse for the next like few weeks to a month because of vacations and traveling. But like I said, I'm going to try to keep staying on, even if I'm not here recording in my bedroom. My audio quality might just suffer from that, but obviously, I'm still part of the conversation. John, I don't think you're going on vacation. Both of us have been here for every episode, so I think we'll keep that going. And then Andrew, Parker, I think they're kind of figuring out their plans in terms of like scheduling, but yeah, we'll keep a weekly episode going. Thank you for tuning in, guys. to this extra long and honestly, I think also important episode, especially with that first segment. And yeah, thank you so much, guys. That's Urso signing out. John, take the floor.
Yeah, everyone like and subscribe. Give us a rating on Apple Podcasts. Definitely share with your friends if you've been enjoying these. That's how we get the word out and get more people listening. We'd love to be able to reach out to more people. And like we, said at the beginning, if you're ever going through anything, there are always people in your corner, and don't forget that. But that's John signing off. Thank you everyone for listening, and we'll catch you next week.
Yeah, see you guys.